What if the world as we know it is not the end of the story, but part of a much larger journey? In Islamic belief, the Day of Judgment marks the moment when the universe reaches its appointed end, and every person is called to account for their life. From the signs said to precede it, to the end of the world itself, and the gathering of all humanity for judgment, this event is described as one of the most significant moments in existence. In this documentary, we will explore how Islamic tradition portrays the final days, the resurrection, and the fate that awaits every soul. As we examine these beliefs about accountability and destiny, one question remains: if every action carries lasting consequences, what kind of legacy are we creating with the lives we live today? The universe itself will one day hold its breath, a cosmic pause preceding an irreversible transformation. It begins subtly, a tremor not felt by human hands but by the very fabric of existence. The celestial tapestry, once a steadfast beacon of order, will start to fray. Stars, those ancient furnaces of light, will flicker with an unnatural uncertainty, their steady glow giving way to an ominous pulse. This is not the gentle dimming of twilight, but a profound shift, signaling that the grand design is approaching its ultimate conclusion. Imagine the sky, that vast and seemingly eternal dome, beginning to tremble, not with the familiar rumble of thunder, but with an internal vibration, a deep resonance that speaks of an impending unraveling. The familiar blue will deepen into an unsettling hue, then perhaps lighten to an incandescent white, reflecting the immense energies gathering for the final act. This is the prelude to an event of unfathomable scale, an hour whose coming has been foretold across ages, etched into the collective consciousness of humanity. On Earth, the signs will manifest with increasing intensity, mirroring the cosmic upheaval. Mountains, those symbols of steadfastness and eternity, will cease to be so. They will begin to shift, to crumble, their immense weight losing its anchor in the world. The ground beneath our feet, usually a firm foundation, will betray its stability, heaving and cracking as if in agony. Rivers will abandon their ancient beds, oceans will surge beyond their boundaries, and the delicate balance that sustains life will fracture. The calm assurance of nature will be replaced by a chaotic dance of elemental forces, each signifying the approaching end. This is not a localized catastrophe, nor a mere natural disaster. It is a universal event encompassing every atom, every particle of creation. The laws that govern physics, the principles that maintain equilibrium, will bend and ultimately break. The very air will thicken with an unseen anticipation, a silence so profound it will scream of the impending climax. Animals, with their innate connection to the Earth's rhythms, will sense this shift before humanity fully comprehends its magnitude, their instincts screaming of danger, their movements becoming erratic and desperate. The sun, that life-giving star, will undergo a terrifying metamorphosis. Its light, once a symbol of warmth and renewal, will become oppressive, its heat intensifying to an unbearable degree, or perhaps waning into a chilling darkness. The moon, companion to Earth's nights, will lose its serene glow, its familiar face contorted by the cosmic forces at play. This distortion in the celestial bodies is a direct manifestation of the universe preparing for its ultimate judgment, a reordering of all that is known and understood. There will be no escape, no hiding place from this universal decree. Humanity, in its final moments, will witness the dismantling of everything it ever perceived as permanent. The grand structures of civilization, the towering achievements of engineering, will be rendered insignificant against the backdrop of a universe in collapse. The very concept of time will seem to accelerate, then perhaps stretch into an unbearable eternity, as each moment brings closer the inevitable. This is the fate of all creation, a return to a primordial state before a new order can emerge. Every individual soul, regardless of their earthly station or accomplishments, will be acutely aware of this moment. The worldly concerns that once consumed them will vanish, replaced by an overwhelming realization of their true standing before an omnipotent power. The illusion of control, the comfort of routine, will be stripped away, leaving only the stark reality of the impending reckoning. This awareness will not be a gradual dawning, but a sudden, piercing clarity, cutting through all previous distractions and delusions. The air will carry a heavy, almost tangible sense of finality. The sounds of everyday life will fade, replaced by a deep, resonant hum, a vibrational frequency that speaks of cosmic change. It is the sound of the universe exhaling its last breath, preparing for its ultimate command. This is the moment when all that was hidden will be revealed, and all that was certain will be questioned. The fabric of reality, once so robust and predictable, will become as thin as gossamer, ready to tear apart at a single divine utterance. The stars, those distant suns, will not merely fade but will begin to fall like tears from a weeping sky. Their descent will be slow, majestic, and terrifying, leaving streaks of fiery light across the darkening heavens. This celestial cascade will signify the dissolution of the cosmic order, an undeniable sign that the end is not merely approaching, but is actively unfolding. The universe is not just dying, it is being remade, atom by atom, into something entirely new and beyond human comprehension. This transformation is not random chaos, but a precise, divinely ordained sequence of events. Each sign, each tremor, each celestial alteration is a step in a meticulously planned process. The inevitability of this fate is absolute, a fundamental truth embedded within the very laws of existence. There is no turning back, no altering the course. All of reality is a stage, and the final act is about to commence, culminating in the ultimate judgment of all souls. The mountains themselves, those anchors of the earth, will not remain steadfast. They will be shaken from their foundations, not with a gentle tremor, but with a violent, earth-shattering force that will turn their solid rock into something akin to shifting sand. Imagine the highest peaks, once symbols of permanence, crumbling into dust, their majestic silhouettes dissolving into the turbulent atmosphere. This cataclysmic disintegration will reshape the very topography of the planet, rendering every familiar landmark unrecognizable, erasing the maps of human history in an instant. This profound instability reflects the internal turmoil of humanity, a mirror to the crumbling certainties within each soul. And then the oceans, those vast, deep repositories of life, will boil and churn with an unimaginable fury. The waters will rise, not in a gentle tide, but in colossal waves that engulf continents, only to then recede as if drained into some unseen abyss. Their depths will be laid bare, revealing creatures and secrets that have remained hidden since the dawn of time, now exposed to the harsh light of a dying world. This tumultuous upheaval of the seas symbolizes the washing away of all illusions, the stripping bare of all pretenses, as the true nature of existence is laid bare before the divine gaze. The very elements that sustained life will turn against it, becoming instruments of its final dissolution. Amidst this cosmic unraveling, the sun itself will undergo a terrifying transformation. Its light, once a source of warmth and life, will dim, growing cold and distant. Yet at the same time, it will appear to draw closer, its heat becoming unbearable, scorching the earth with an intensity never before witnessed. This paradox of both dimming and intensifying is a testament to the breaking of natural laws, a sign that the very fabric of physics is being rewritten. The sun, our life-giver, will become a harbinger of destruction, its final rays a searing judgment upon a world that has forgotten its maker. The moon too will lose its gentle glow, its silver light extinguished, leaving the night in an oppressive, absolute darkness. But these are not merely physical phenomena, they are profound spiritual indicators. Each sign is a trumpet blast, awakening humanity from its slumber, forcing a confrontation with the ultimate reality. The shattering of the heavens, the crumbling of mountains, the boiling of oceans, the darkening of the sun. These are all metaphors for the shattering of human delusion, the crumbling of false idols, the boiling away of worldly desires, and the darkening of the heart that has turned away from truth. They are a universal call to introspection, a final opportunity for repentance before the final curtain falls. The earth will then be stretched out like a parchment, smoothed and flattened, its hills and valleys erased, becoming a vast, featureless plain. This transformation is not just geographical but symbolic. It represents the leveling of all distinctions, the erasure of all hierarchies, as every individual stands equal before their creator. There will be no high places to hide, no low valleys to seek refuge. All will be exposed, all will be visible. This flattened earth will be the stage for the ultimate assembly, where every soul, from the first human to the last, will be gathered. This gathering is known as the Day of Assembly, a moment of unprecedented scale and solemnity. The dead will rise from their graves, not as decaying corpses, but as fully formed individuals, their souls reunited with their bodies. Imagine the sheer multitude, an uncountable throng stretching as far as the eye can see, all moving towards a single point, driven by an irresistible divine command. Each person will be resurrected in the state they died in, some in peace, others in terror, their faces reflecting the deeds they performed in life. This is not a quiet awakening, but a tumultuous emergence, the ground splitting open to reveal generations upon generations, all called to account. The air will be thick with anticipation, a silence so profound it will press down on every soul, broken only by the rustling of countless feet and the murmuring of prayers from those who remember. Every eye will be fixed forward, towards the place of judgment, a sense of awe and dread permeating the very atmosphere. There will be no escape, no hiding place, no possibility of denial. The entirety of human history, every life lived, every word spoken, every thought entertained, will converge on this single, inescapable moment. It is the ultimate reunion, not of families or friends, but of all humanity, bound by their shared destiny of judgment. The cosmic stage, now set with a darkened sun and a flattened earth, awaits its most dramatic act, heralded by a sound beyond human comprehension. This is the moment when Israfil, the magnificent angel assigned to the trumpet, fulfills his divine decree. His very existence is bound to this instrument, a celestial horn of unimaginable size, ready to unleash the unraveling of creation. Islamic tradition describes Israfil as one of the 4 archangels, his gaze fixed perpetually upon the divine throne, his fingers poised, awaiting the singular command. He stands in an ethereal realm, the trumpet held to his lips, a silent sentinel until the appointed hour. It is said that the trumpet itself is a marvel, not of earthly metal or material, but forged from the very essence of divine power, capable of resonating through all dimensions and realities. Its sound is not merely an auditory phenomenon, it is a force that dismantles the established order of the universe, a vibrational wave that rewrites the laws of physics and existence. When the command finally descends from the highest heavens, Israfil will draw a breath so profound it will encompass all of creation, and then he will blow. The first blast of the trumpet is not merely loud, it is the sound of absolute negation, a sonic cataclysm that shatters the very concept of silence. It begins as a tremor, an almost imperceptible hum that quickly escalates into a deafening roar, a sound that rips through the fabric of space and time. Imagine a sound so potent it makes the strongest mountains, those ancient sentinels of Earth, tremble and then disintegrate into dust, scattering like chaff in a cosmic gale. Their colossal forms, once symbols of permanence and stability, will crumble as if they were made of sand, their peaks dissolving, their foundations dissolving, leaving behind nothing but a flat, featureless expanse. The oceans, vast and deep, will not merely stir or rage, they will boil with an infernal heat, their waters turning into superheated vapor, rising in colossal plumes that obscure the sky. The marine life within them, from the smallest plankton to the largest leviathan, will instantly perish, their forms dissolving in the unprecedented thermal fury. The very elements of water will be dislodged from their fundamental bonds, transforming into a chaotic maelstrom of steam and gas, a testament to the complete disruption of natural order. The Earth itself, our seemingly solid home, will be seized by convulsions of unimaginable violence. It will shake with such ferocity that its crust will fracture into countless pieces, tectonic plates colliding and grinding with an apocalyptic force. Chasms will open up, swallowing everything in their path, while other sections of the planet will be thrust upwards, only to collapse back into the inferno. This is not just an earthquake, it is the unmaking of the world, a violent erasure of all topography, all landmarks, all traces of human civilization. Above, the heavens will not remain untouched by this cosmic upheaval. The sky, that boundless canvas of blue and black, will split open, tearing apart like a fragile cloth. Imagine the celestial dome, once a symbol of ordered beauty, cracking and rending, revealing an inner chaos, a terrifying void beyond. The stars, those distant suns that have guided humanity for millennia, will be dislodged from their orbits, falling like scattered pearls across the disintegrating firmament. Some will collide, creating flashes of light that momentarily pierce the enveloping darkness, while others will simply extinguish, their fiery hearts collapsing into oblivion. The moon, already dimmed, will be ripped from its gravitational anchor, hurtling uncontrollably through the cosmic wreckage. The sun, once a source of life, will swell into a monstrous incandescent orb, its final destructive heat engulfing everything before it too begins to unravel. This cataclysm is not a slow, gradual decay. It is an instantaneous, overwhelming event, a thunderclap that resonates through every particle of existence. The sheer magnitude of this first trumpet blast is beyond human conception, yet it is described with such vivid detail in scripture that it forces the mind to grapple with its terrifying reality. It is the moment when the unseen becomes terrifyingly real, when the abstract concepts of divine power manifest as an absolute, undeniable force. Every living soul, whether human, animal, or jinn, will be struck down by this unyielding sound, their consciousness extinguished, their physical forms dissolving into nothingness. The only exceptions will be those whom God wills to survive, a select few who will bear witness to the full, devastating power of this initial act of cosmic destruction. This blast marks the end of all life as we know it, the ultimate reset, preparing the universe for its next, even more profound transformation. The world, once teeming with life and activity, will be rendered utterly desolate, a barren, silent canvas awaiting the next divine command. Then, after an unspecified period of profound silence, a terrifying quietude that stretches beyond human comprehension, the second trumpet blast will erupt. This is not a sound of destruction, but one of resurrection, a cosmic awakening that shatters the stillness of the void. Imagine the universe, once a graveyard of dust and echoes, suddenly vibrating with an unimaginable energy. This sound, unlike the first, does not annihilate, it reassembles. It calls forth every soul that ever lived, from the first human to the last, compelling them to rise from their scattered remains. The very atoms that once formed their bodies, dispersed across continents and oceans, will be drawn back together with divine precision, reconstructing their forms in perfect detail. The earth itself, which swallowed countless generations, will begin to heave and crack, disgorging its ancient secrets, releasing the bodies it held captive for millennia. It is a spectacle of unimaginable scale, where graves burst open and the deceased emerge, not as decaying remnants but as fully formed individuals, ready to face their creator. This resurrection is not a gentle awakening. It is an immediate, overwhelming event. The dead will rise in a state of bewilderment and fear, their memories of earthly life slowly returning, often accompanied by a profound sense of dread. The Quran describes this moment with vivid imagery, portraying humanity emerging from their graves as if they were scattered locusts, a chaotic swarm of resurrected beings, all moving towards a single, predetermined destination. Some will rise in terror, recognizing the signs of the Day of Judgment, while others, particularly the disbelievers, will be filled with regret and disbelief, questioning the reality of their situation. This is the moment when all past deeds, good and bad, will begin to surface in their consciousness, a prelude to the meticulous accounting that awaits them. The air will be thick with a mixture of fear, anticipation, and a dawning realization of the cosmic justice about to unfold. The earth, having yielded its dead, will then flatten into a vast, featureless plain. Mountains, once towering symbols of permanence, will be pulverized and scattered like dust, their imposing forms dissolving into nothingness. Oceans will boil and spill over, their waters receding to reveal dry land, transforming the familiar landscape into an alien, boundless expanse. This transformation is not merely physical, it is symbolic, representing the erasure of all earthly distinctions, all hierarchies, and all shelters. There will be no place to hide, no elevated ground to seek refuge, no natural barriers to offer protection. Every individual will stand exposed, utterly vulnerable before the divine presence. The sun, too, will undergo a terrifying metamorphosis. It will be brought frighteningly close to the earth, its scorching rays intensifying to an unbearable degree, causing immense suffering. People will be drenched in their own sweat, the severity of their torment proportional to their deeds in life. This intense heat and the lack of any shade will amplify the sense of despair and helplessness among the resurrected masses. Amidst this chaotic awakening, a profound silence will once again descend, but this time it is a silence pregnant with anticipation. All of creation, from the resurrected humans to the angels, will stand in awe, awaiting the next divine command. There will be no speech, no movement, save for the trembling of hearts and the quiet contemplation of what is to come. This period marks the beginning of the Grand Assembly, the gathering of all beings before the divine tribunal. It is a moment of profound introspection, where individuals, stripped of all earthly possessions and social standings, will be forced to confront their true selves and their life's trajectory. The sheer number of resurrected souls, stretching as far as the eye can see, will be an overwhelming sight, a testament to the vastness of God's creation and the universality of this ultimate reckoning. This immense congregation will be organized, not by human design, but by divine decree, with each soul occupying its designated place in the grand scheme of judgment. The first great trumpet blast is not merely a signal, it is a cosmic decree of annihilation, a sound that rips through the fabric of existence, bringing an immediate and terrifying end to all life. Humanity, with its intricate societies and ceaseless endeavors, is the first to fall. In an instant, every man, woman, and child, regardless of their location, status, or belief, collapses into lifelessness. The bustling cities become ghost towns, their vibrant sounds replaced by an eerie stillness. The fields where farmers toiled, the marketplaces where merchants traded, the homes where families shared laughter and sorrow, all become silent monuments to a life that was, now utterly extinguished. This death is not a gentle fading, it is an abrupt cessation, a sudden plunge into oblivion for every human soul. Following humanity, the animal kingdom, in all its diverse and magnificent forms, also succumbs. The roaring lion, the soaring eagle, the industrious ant, the majestic whale. Every creature, from the smallest microbe to the largest beast, ceases to breathe. The intricate dance of predator and prey, the delicate balance of ecosystems, the vibrant tapestry of life that covered the earth, all unravel in a single devastating moment. The forests fall silent, the oceans still, and the air is no longer filled with the hum of insects or the songs of birds. This universal death extends beyond the visible world, reaching into the unseen realms. The jinn, those intelligent beings of smokeless fire who share the earth with humankind, also experience this same inescapable fate. Their ethereal forms, their hidden societies, their mischievous or pious deeds, all come to an end, their existence extinguished by the divine command. The wave of death continues its relentless sweep, reaching the celestial beings, the angels themselves. These magnificent creations, fashioned from light, who have served God without question since the dawn of time, also face their ultimate cessation. The lesser angels, those who meticulously record deeds, who guard the gates of paradise, or who carry out countless divine commands, are the first to fall silent. Their luminous forms dim, their voices cease, and their eternal service concludes. This is a profound and unsettling development, for angels are often perceived as immortal, yet here they too are subject to the divine will that decrees an end to all save the Creator. The demise of the angels ascends the hierarchy, reaching even the great archangels, those beings of immense power and responsibility. Jibreel, the bringer of revelation whose wings span the horizons. Mikhail, the dispenser of sustenance and rain. Israfil, the blower of the trumpet, whose very breath signals cosmic shifts. And Malik, the stern guardian of hellfire. Each in turn faces their end. It is a moment of unparalleled cosmic significance. As the pillars of the divine administration, the very agents of God's will in the universe are called back to their source. Their departure leaves an unimaginable void, a sense of profound emptiness that reverberates through the now silent cosmos. The universe, once teeming with life and guided by angelic oversight, becomes a desolate, lifeless expanse. At the heart of this universal extinction stands Azrael, the angel of death, whose very essence is tied to the act of taking souls. He is the last to remain active in this act of cosmic unraveling. With each successive death, from humans to animals, from jinn to the lesser angels, and then to the great archangels, Azrael fulfills his sacred yet terrifying duty. He is the final reaper, the ultimate agent of mortality for all creation. After having taken the souls of all others, a divine command is issued to Azrael himself. He is instructed to take his own soul. It is a moment of solitary grandeur and profound irony, as the very embodiment of death becomes subject to death. Azrael, the last living entity in the vast expanse of creation, then experiences his own demise, his existence dissolving into the absolute nothingness that now pervades the universe. Upon the death of Azrael, a deep and absolute silence descends. This is not merely the absence of sound. It is a profound, all-encompassing stillness that signifies the complete cessation of all life, all movement, all thought, and all vibration. The universe, once a symphony of countless sounds, the rustling of leaves, the crashing of waves, the laughter of children, the whispers of angels, is now utterly devoid of any sonic presence. There is no breath, no heartbeat, no whisper of wind, no distant hum of celestial bodies. Everything that once was is no more. This silence is not merely an auditory phenomenon. It is a spiritual one, representing the complete emptying of all created existence. It is a silence so profound that it borders on the terrifying, an emptiness that stretches beyond comprehension. In this utter void, with all creation having ceased to be, a singular, profound realization emerges. Nothing remains save for Allah. He is the one who was before all, the one who will be after all. His solitary majesty shines forth, unobscured by any created thing, unchallenged by any other existence. The universe, once teeming with his signs and his creations, now stands as an empty testament to his absolute power and eternal nature. This moment underscores the fundamental truth of Islamic monotheism, that only Allah is truly eternal, self-subsisting and independent. Everything else is contingent, created, and destined to return to him. The grand cosmic drama of creation and annihilation serves as the ultimate demonstration of his uniqueness, his absolute sovereignty, and the ephemeral nature of all that is not him. In this profound emptiness, his presence is the only reality, a solitary beacon in the infinite void. From this ultimate silence, a new sound will eventually pierce the void, signaling the commencement of a new phase in the cosmic drama. This is the second blast of the trumpet, a sound vastly different from the first. Where the first was a call to annihilation, this second sound is a call to life, a summons back from non-existence. It is described as a thunderous, earth-shattering roar that will reverberate through the emptiness, stirring the dust of what once was into a new form of being. Imagine the universe, once a canvas of vibrant life, then reduced to an absolute blank, now beginning to hum with a nascent vibration, a subtle tremor that grows into an inescapable, all-encompassing sound. This sound is not merely loud, it carries an intrinsic command, a divine decree embedded within its very frequency, compelling every atom that once formed a living creature to reassemble. At this divine command, delivered through the second blast of the trumpet, the earth itself begins to transform. The very ground, once a silent graveyard, will begin to heave and crack open. From its depths, humanity will emerge, not as fully formed adults, but as resurrected beings, each one called forth from the dust and bones that remained. This resurrection is often described as resembling the growth of plants from seeds after rain. Just as a dry seed, when watered, sprouts forth life, so too will the scattered remains of human bodies be reassembled and brought back to life by the divine power accompanying this second blast. The Quran describes this process vividly, likening it to the earth giving forth its burdens, revealing what was hidden within. It is a moment of profound recreation, where the seemingly impossible becomes an undeniable reality, demonstrating Allah's absolute power over life and death. This resurrection will not be a gentle awakening. People will rise in a state of bewilderment and fear, disoriented by their sudden return to consciousness. The Prophet Muhammad described them as being brought forth barefoot, unclothed and uncircumcised, just as they were born into the world. This imagery emphasizes their utter helplessness and vulnerability before their Creator, stripped of all worldly possessions, status, and even the coverings of modesty. Each individual will be consumed by their own state, their own sins and their own deeds, with no thought for others. The sheer magnitude of the event, the collective rising of all humanity from Adam to the last person ever born, will be overwhelming. It is a moment of profound personal reckoning, as each soul grapples with the reality of their resurrection and the imminent judgment that awaits them. The sheer number of resurrected beings will defy comprehension. Imagine the entire population of humanity stretching back to the dawn of creation, all rising simultaneously from every corner of the earth, from the depths of the oceans, and from the furthest reaches of the desert. The earth, which once seemed vast, will become a crowded expanse, filled with the multitude of resurrected souls. This gathering is not chaotic, however. Despite the initial bewilderment, there is an underlying order, a divine orchestration that guides each soul to the designated gathering place. This place, known as the Plain of Gathering or Yom al-Hashra, will be a vast, featureless expanse, unlike anything seen in the worldly life. It is here that all of humanity, every jinn, and even some animals will be assembled, awaiting the next stage of the divine plan. This Plain of Gathering will be a place of immense tension and anticipation. The sun will draw incredibly close to the earth, intensifying the heat to an unbearable degree. People will be drenched in their own sweat, the level of which will vary according to their deeds in the worldly life. Some will be submerged up to their ankles, others to their knees, and still others up to their mouths, depending on the weight of their sins. This physical torment serves as a foretaste of the spiritual judgment to come, a tangible manifestation of the consequences of their actions. Yet, amidst this universal distress, there will be those who are granted special protection by Allah. These are the ones who lived lives of piety and devotion, such as the just ruler, the youth who grew up in the worship of Allah, the man whose heart was attached to the mosques, two men who loved each other for Allah's sake, the man who was tempted by a beautiful woman but feared Allah, the man who gave charity secretly, and the man who remembered Allah in solitude and wept. These 7 types of people will find shade under the throne of Allah, a stark contrast to the suffering of the masses, highlighting the immense reward for righteous deeds. From the utter destruction and profound silence that followed the first trumpet blast, a new, almost imperceptible tremor will begin to course through the void. This is not the tremor of an earthquake or the dying gasp of a world, but the first stirrings of a cosmic rebirth, a prelude to the genesis of new life. It is a moment of profound transformation, where the absolute cessation of all existence transitions into a miraculous recreation, demonstrating Allah's unparalleled power over both annihilation and resurrection. The very fabric of reality, once dissolved into nothingness, will now be rewoven thread by thread into a tapestry of revitalized being, all orchestrated by divine command. Then, a second sound will pierce the silence, a sound unlike any heard before or since. This is the second blowing of Israfil's trumpet, not a shriek of destruction, but a resounding call of reconstruction, a divine summons echoing across the newly reformed cosmos. It is a blast that will carry the essence of life, a breath of resurrection that will infuse every atom, every particle, with the spark of awakening. This sound will not merely bring life back, it will rebuild, reassemble, and reform, acting as the ultimate catalyst for the resurrection of all creation, a symphony of divine power that heralds the beginning of the eternal judgment. As the trumpet's reverberations spread, a miraculous sight will unfold across the vast, flat expanse of the earth. Graves which for eons had held the decaying remains of humanity will begin to burst open, not with violence, but with a gentle yet irresistible force. The earth itself will yield forth its inhabitants, releasing the countless souls it had cradled within its depths. From every corner, from the deepest oceans to the highest mountains, from forgotten battlefields to ancient burial grounds, the ground will heave and crack, revealing the forms of those long departed. It is a spectacle of unprecedented scale, as billions upon billions of graves simultaneously relinquish their hold, preparing to return their occupants to the light of day. The process of resurrection itself is described with astonishing detail, highlighting its miraculous nature. Bones, long disintegrated into dust, will begin to reassemble, drawn together by an unseen force, knitting themselves back into skeletons. Muscles, tendons, and flesh will then grow upon these frameworks, weaving themselves around the reformed bones, restoring the human form with perfect precision. The very cells that once comprised a person's body, scattered and decomposed over millennia, will be meticulously recollected and reformed, each individual brought back exactly as they were, down to the smallest detail. This is not a mere reanimation, but a complete recreation, a testament to Allah's infinite knowledge and power, capable of reconstructing every being from the very essence of their original creation, ensuring that every soul is returned to its rightful vessel. From these revitalized forms, humanity will rise from their resting places, emerging from the earth as if from a deep sleep, but one that has lasted for ages. They will stand bewildered, disoriented, and often naked, facing a reality far grander and more terrifying than anything they could have imagined in their earthly lives. This rising marks the definitive beginning of the next phase of existence, the transition from the temporal to the eternal. It is the moment when every soul, from Adam to the last person ever to live, will be called to account, brought before their Creator to face the consequences of their deeds. The earth, once a silent graveyard, will now teem with resurrected life, a vast multitude brought forth for the ultimate judgment, each individual a living testament to the power of the divine decree. This assembly will not be a silent one. A profound sense of awe and dread will permeate the air. The sheer scale of this gathering is beyond human comprehension, an endless sea of faces stretching as far as the eye can see, each person grappling with the monumental reality of their situation. The sun, as described in prophetic traditions, will draw intensely near, its heat oppressive and unbearable, causing humanity to sweat profusely according to their deeds. Some will be submerged in their own perspiration up to their ankles, others to their knees, and some even to their mouths, a tangible manifestation of their earthly burdens and sins. This intense physical discomfort serves as a prelude to the spiritual reckoning that awaits, a taste of the severity of the day. Amidst this vast throng, a profound silence will descend, broken only by the whispers of individuals asking, "Where is Allah? What is happening?" The confusion and anxiety will be palpable, as souls who had once busied themselves with the fleeting concerns of this world now face the undeniable truth of their eternal destination. They will yearn for intercession, for someone, anyone, to speak on their behalf to hasten the judgment. This desperate plea highlights the human need for a mediator, a figure of authority and mercy who can bridge the chasm between the created and the Creator. Indeed, the narratives speak of a moment when humanity will turn to the great prophets, one after another seeking their intercession. They will approach Adam, the father of humanity, reminding him of his unique creation and his direct conversation with Allah. However, Adam will humbly decline, recalling his own transgression in paradise and expressing his concern for himself. He will direct them to Noah, the second father of humanity, who endured centuries of preaching with little response. Noah too will excuse himself, remembering a mistake he made during his time, and will point them towards Abraham, the friend of Allah. Abraham in turn will also decline, citing his own human failings and directing them towards Moses, to whom Allah spoke directly. Moses, despite his immense stature, will recount his anger that led him to strike a man and will send them to Jesus. Jesus, the Spirit of Allah and his word, will also decline, though he mentions no specific sin, but rather his awe and reverence for Allah, and will finally guide them to Muhammad, peace be upon him. This progression of prophets, each acknowledging their limitations and directing humanity to the next, underscores the immense weight of the Day of Judgment and the unique status of the final prophet. It is at this point that humanity will turn to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who will accept the daunting task of intercession. He will proceed to the throne of Allah, prostrate himself, and praise Allah with words of glorification and majesty that he himself will be divinely inspired to utter at that moment. Allah will then address him saying, "O Muhammad, raise your head, ask and it will be given to you, intercede, and your intercession will be accepted." This is the grand intercession, the Maqam al-Mahmud, the praiseworthy station, a unique honor bestowed upon the Prophet Muhammad. Through his intercession, the process of judgment will finally commence, bringing relief to the anxious souls yearning for an end to their agonizing weight. This act of intercession is not a circumventing of divine justice, but rather an act of mercy, a hastening of the inevitable reckoning, and a testament to the Prophet's elevated status and his concern for his community. It signifies the beginning of the individual accountability, where each soul will stand alone before their Creator. Once the judgment process begins, each individual will be presented with their book of deeds. This is not a metaphorical book, but a literal record, meticulously compiled by the recording angels, containing every action, every thought, every intention, both good and bad, performed throughout their earthly lives. The Quran describes this moment vividly, stating, "And the book will be placed, and you will see the criminals fearful of that which is therein, and they will say, 'Oh, woe to us! What is this book that leaves neither a small thing nor a large thing except that it has enumerated it?' And they will find what they did present before them, and your Lord does not wrong anyone." This book is an irrefutable testament, a perfect and complete ledger that leaves no room for denial or dispute. For those whose deeds were righteous, their faces will brighten with joy and anticipation, while those who indulged in sin will be filled with dread and regret. The very hands, feet, and even the skin of individuals will bear witness against them, speaking of what they did in the world, leaving no escape from the truth. This divine accounting highlights the absolute justice of Allah, where nothing is forgotten or overlooked. Following the presentation of the Book of Deeds, the actions of each individual will be weighed on the mizan, the divine scales of justice. These scales are described as being so vast that they encompass the heavens and the earth, and yet so precise that they can register the slightest good deed or the most subtle sin. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasized the importance of even the smallest good deed, stating, "There is nothing heavier in the scales than good character." This illustrates that while actions are crucial, the intention and the moral quality behind them hold immense weight. The weighing will involve not just the actions themselves, but also the intentions behind them. A small act of charity performed with sincere devotion can outweigh a large act of charity performed for show. Similarly, a seemingly minor sin committed with arrogance and defiance can carry more weight than a greater sin committed out of weakness or ignorance. This intricate process of weighing underscores the depth of divine justice, which penetrates beyond the superficial to the very core of one's being and intentions. The outcome of this weighing will determine whether one's good deeds outweigh their bad, or vice versa, setting the stage for their ultimate destination. The cosmic events have concluded, the universe has been reshaped, and the individual souls have been called forth from their slumber. Now, the focus shifts from the grand celestial drama to the intimate yet overwhelmingly vast assembly of all humanity. Every single person who has ever drawn breath, from the very first prophet, Adam, to the last soul to perish on earth, is gathered on an immense featureless plain. This is not a gathering of nations or tribes, but of every individual, transcending all barriers of time, geography, and lineage. The sheer multitude is unimaginable, an ocean of humanity stretching as far as the eye can see and beyond. In this colossal assembly, all worldly distinctions, once so fiercely defended and revered, are utterly stripped away. The king stands barefoot beside the beggar, their crowns and robes, their palaces and hovels, all reduced to dust. The wealthy magnate, whose influence once spanned continents, is indistinguishable from the most destitute pauper. The powerful ruler, whose word was law, stands exposed and vulnerable, no different from the lowliest servant. All social hierarchies, all markers of status, all the superficial trappings of earthly existence have vanished, revealing the fundamental equality of all souls before their creator. Humanity stands on this plane in a state of profound vulnerability and raw honesty. They are barefoot, their feet having long shed the shoes of pride and comfort. They are naked, devoid of the clothing that once denoted their status, their modesty, or their vanity. And they are uncircumcised, returned to a primordial state, utterly stripped of all earthly adornments and modifications. This state of being symbolizes their absolute equality and their complete dependence on divine mercy. There is no hiding, no pretense, no social mask to wear. Every soul is laid bare, exposed to the intense scrutiny of the divine. Imagine yourself within this immense crowd, a single drop in an infinite ocean of humanity. The sun beats down with an intensity unlike anything known on earth, yet there is no shade, no refuge, no escape from its oppressive heat. The air is thick with anticipation, a palpable mixture of fear, hope, and uncertainty. The silence is broken only by the murmurs of countless souls, each grappling with the enormity of the moment, each acutely aware that their eternal destiny hangs in the balance. There is a sense of profound loneliness, for while surrounded by billions, each individual stands alone in their ultimate accountability. Yet, there is also a shared experience of awe and trepidation, a collective understanding that this is the moment of truth. The sheer scale of this gathering is beyond human comprehension. Generations upon generations, spanning millennia, are condensed into a single overwhelming presence. Children who died in infancy stand alongside the aged who lived long lives. Prophets and saints, tyrants and transgressors, all are present, awaiting the same divine judgment. The air vibrates with an unspoken question: what will become of us? What will be our fate? This is the ultimate crucible, where every deed, every intention, every whispered thought will finally be brought to light. Amidst this vast throng, the individual conscience awakens to its most profound state of awareness. Memories of earthly life, once buried or forgotten, resurface with startling clarity. Every kindness extended, every injustice committed, every moment of gratitude, every act of ingratitude, all come flooding back. There is no escaping the internal record, the personal testimony of one's own soul. The weight of one's past actions presses down, creating an internal landscape of either serenity or terror depending on the life that was lived. The plane itself is a canvas of pure expectation. There are no landmarks, no distractions, only the infinite expanse of humanity under the watchful eye of the divine. The sense of waiting is almost unbearable, a timeless moment suspended between the end of the world and the beginning of eternity. Each person yearns for the process to begin, for the uncertainty to end, for their ultimate fate to be revealed. This is the moment when the true value of one's life will be assessed, not by human standards, but by the perfect and absolute justice of the Almighty. The absence of worldly possessions and distinctions serves as a stark reminder of what truly matters. In this ultimate gathering, only one's deeds and intentions hold currency. The fleeting pleasures and material accumulations of earthly life are revealed as utterly insignificant. What remains is the essence of the soul, its purity or its corruption, its devotion or its heedlessness. This powerful imagery underscores the Islamic teaching that true wealth lies not in what one possesses, but in the righteousness of one's character and the sincerity of one's faith. The scene is one of universal introspection and profound humility. No one can boast, no one can pretend, no one can hide behind a facade. The truth of each individual's being is laid bare, not just to the divine, but to themselves. This moment of ultimate exposure is both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying for those who have lived a life of deceit and transgression, and liberating for those who have striven for piety and truth, for they know that their efforts will finally be acknowledged and rewarded. The atmosphere is charged with a silent plea for mercy, a collective yearning for divine compassion. Even those who were arrogant and defiant in life now stand humbled, their earthly pride shattered by the overwhelming reality of the Day of Judgment. The sheer magnitude of the assembly reinforces the omnipotence of Allah, who effortlessly brings together all of creation, from the dawn of time to its very end, to render a just and final verdict on every single soul. This is the ultimate testament to divine power and sovereignty. The image of humanity standing naked and uncircumcised is not meant to evoke shame in the worldly sense, but rather to emphasize the stripping away of all artificiality. It signifies a return to a state of absolute naturalness and honesty before God. It is a powerful symbol of the universal equality of all human beings in the eyes of their Creator, regardless of their earthly circumstances, their social standing, or their physical appearance. All are equal in their vulnerability and their need for divine grace. This great gathering is the prelude to the individual accounting, the moment before the scrolls are opened and the scales are set. It is a moment of collective anticipation, where billions of individual destinies converge on a single momentous plane. The silence, the heat, the sheer number of souls all contribute to an atmosphere of profound solemnity and ultimate truth. This is the stage upon which the final act of humanity's earthly journey will be played out, leading to an eternal existence determined by the choices made in a brief temporal life. Following the monumental gathering, the attention of all creation will turn to the unrolling of the scrolls of deeds. Each individual will be presented with a record, meticulously detailing every action, thought, and intention from the moment of their awakening in this world until their last breath. This is not a mere summary, but a comprehensive ledger, a complete autobiography penned by the two noble angels, Raqib and Atid, who accompanied every person throughout their lives. Every whisper, every glance, every step taken, every word uttered, all are recorded with absolute precision, without omission or embellishment. This presentation of the record is a deeply personal and often confronting moment. For some, it will be a source of immense relief and joy, as they witness the countless acts of goodness they performed, the prayers offered, the charity given, the kindness shown. The scrolls will glow with the light of their righteous deeds, illuminating their path forward. They will recognize their own handiwork, their sincerity and their devotion reflected back to them. Their hearts will swell with gratitude, knowing that their efforts, however small they seemed at the worldly life, were not forgotten. Conversely, for others, the revelation of their deeds will be a source of profound regret and despair. Every transgression, every moment of heedlessness, every act of injustice, every opportunity missed to do good will be laid bare. The weight of their past misdeeds, once dismissed or forgotten, will press down upon them with crushing force. The scroll will unfurl not as a testament to their life, but as a stark indictment, a mirror reflecting the unvarnished truth of their choices. There will be no room for denial, no possibility of evasion, for the record itself will speak bearing witness against them. This vivid recounting is not merely for divine judgment, but also for the individual to fully comprehend the consequences of their earthly journey. Immediately after the scrolls are presented, the scales of justice, known as al-Mizan, will be erected. These are not ordinary scales, but instruments of absolute divine equity, capable of weighing not only physical actions but also intentions, sincerity, and the true value of every deed. The Quran describes them as scales of truth, upon which not even the smallest atom's weight of good or evil will be overlooked. The gravity of this moment is immense, as it is here that the ultimate balance of a person's life will be determined. On one pan of the scale will be placed the good deeds, the acts of piety, the sincere worship, the compassion shown to others, the knowledge sought for God's sake, and the patience endured in hardship. These deeds, however intangible, will possess a spiritual weight that transcends worldly measure. The sincerity of the intention behind each action is paramount, for even a small act performed with pure devotion can outweigh seemingly grand gestures done for show or worldly gain. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that a kind word or a smile shared with a fellow human being can be counted as charity, demonstrating the profound value of even the simplest acts of goodness. On the other pan will be placed the evil deeds, the sins committed, the injustices perpetrated, the duties neglected, and the arrogance displayed. These too will carry a spiritual weight, pulling down the pan with the burden of their transgression. Each act of disobedience, each moment of heedlessness, each instance of causing harm to oneself or others will contribute to this side of the balance. The scales will tremble, reflecting the cosmic significance of every choice made during one's fleeting existence in this world. It is a moment of ultimate reckoning, where the cumulative impact of a life is laid bare for all to witness. As humanity stands on the vast plain of gathering, the physical ordeal intensifies beyond imagination. The sun, a familiar and distant orb in earthly life, is now brought impossibly close, its searing heat descending upon the resurrected multitudes. It hangs directly overhead, not as a gentle source of warmth, but as an oppressive, all-consuming furnace. There is no shade, no respite, no cool breeze to offer even a moment's relief from its relentless assault. The very air shimmers with the intensity of the heat, creating a suffocating atmosphere where every breath feels like inhaling fire. The sheer scale of this discomfort is difficult to comprehend. Imagine countless billions of souls, from the dawn of creation to its end, packed together on an immense featureless plain under this merciless sun. The heat penetrates every fibre of their being, causing an unbearable thirst that cannot be quenched, a burning sensation that consumes from within. Every muscle aches, every nerve ending screams in protest. Yet there is no escape, nowhere to turn, no corner to hide in. The exhaustion is profound, a weariness that seeps into the very soul, amplified by the terror and uncertainty of the impending judgment. Fear, a cold serpent, coils around every heart, its venom adding to the physical torment. In this agonizing crucible, a visceral and terrifying phenomenon occurs. People begin to drown in their own sweat. The intensity of the heat forces the body to expel fluids at an unimaginable rate, and with no evaporation possible in such a dense, humid environment, the sweat accumulates. It pools around their feet, then rises, first to their ankles, then their knees, their waists, and for some, even to their mouths, threatening to suffocate them. This isn't just a random act of suffering. Its level is directly correlated to the individual's sins. Those burdened by grave misdeeds find themselves submerged deeper, their transgressions literally weighing them down in a sea of their own bodily fluids. The imagery is stark, horrifying, and deeply symbolic. One's spiritual impurities manifest as a physical, suffocating burden. The waiting under these extreme conditions feels endless. Time, as understood in the worldly life, ceases to have meaning. It stretches into an agonizing eternity, each moment a torment. Billions stand in silent dread, their eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of relief, any indication that the judgment will finally begin. The anticipation is a heavy, suffocating blanket, pressing down on every soul. The weight of every past action, every word spoken, every thought entertained, hangs in the air, magnified by the unbearable heat and the terrifying proximity of divine reckoning. This prolonged period of suffering before the judgment itself serves as a profound precursor, a taste of the consequences to come, designed to awaken every soul to the absolute reality of their existence and the justice that awaits them. The sheer discomfort and dread of this scene are meant to be felt, to immerse every individual in the terrifying reality of the Day of Judgment, making the experience deeply personal and utterly inescapable. The sun, described as being merely a mile above their heads, radiates an unimaginable heat, intensifying the already unbearable conditions. Its proximity is not just a physical discomfort, it is a spiritual pressure, a constant reminder of the divine power that governs this day. Sweat pours from every pore, mingling with tears of fear and despair, creating rivers that flow through the vast assembly. Some are submerged up to their ankles, others to their knees, and some unfortunate souls, burdened by the weight of their sins, find themselves drowning up to their mouths in this horrifying mixture. This vivid imagery underscores the individual nature of judgment. Each person's burden is unique, and their suffering is proportionate to their deeds in the worldly life. The air is thick with the stench of human despair, a heavy, suffocating atmosphere that permeates every being. Amidst this agonizing weight, a desperate plea arises from the masses. They yearn for relief, for an end to this torment, for the judgment to finally commence. In their profound distress, they turn to the prophets, one after another, seeking intercession. They approach Adam, the father of humanity, reminding him of his unique status as the first prophet and the one to whom God taught all the names. But Adam, in his humility and fear, recalls his own transgression, his momentary lapse in obedience in paradise, and directs them to Noah. Noah too feels unworthy, remembering his impassioned prayer against his people, a prayer that led to the great flood. He sends them to Abraham, the beloved friend of God. Abraham in turn recounts his subtle untruths, his strategic ambiguities spoken for the sake of God's message, and points them toward Moses. Moses, burdened by the memory of accidentally killing a man before his prophethood, redirects them to Jesus. Jesus, gentle and pure, humbly refers to his own human limitations and directs them to Muhammad, peace be upon him, the final prophet. It is Muhammad, peace be upon him, who finally steps forward. He performs a lengthy prostration before the throne of God, offering prayers and praises that have never before been uttered by any creation. This act of profound humility and devotion is the key to unlocking divine mercy. God then commands him to raise his head and ask, for his request will be granted, and to intercede, for his intercession will be accepted. This moment is known as Ash-Shafa al-Uzma, the Grand Intercession, a unique honor bestowed upon the Prophet Muhammad. Through his plea, the immense waiting comes to an end, and the process of judgment finally begins. This intercession is not an act of overriding divine justice, but rather a manifestation of God's boundless mercy, channeled through the most beloved of his creation. It signifies the commencement of accountability, a transition from the unbearable waiting to the individual reckoning that every soul must face. The sheer relief that washes over the billions gathered is palpable, a desperate reprieve from the prolonged agony, even though it signals the beginning of an equally daunting process. With the grand intercession, the silence of dread is broken, replaced by the rustling of pages and the solemn pronouncement of individual judgment. The records of each person's life, meticulously documented by the recording angels, are brought forth. These are not mere ledgers, they are comprehensive accounts, detailing every thought, every word, every action, both public and private, from the moment of puberty until death. For some, their book will be given in their right hand, a sign of their success and acceptance. Their faces will radiate with joy and gratitude as they read their good deeds, finding solace in the divine mercy that has overlooked their minor failings. They will turn to their fellow beings with beaming smiles, proclaiming, "Here, read my book. I always knew I would meet my reckoning. Their path to paradise becomes clear, illuminated by the light of their righteous deeds. Conversely, others will receive their book in their left hand or from behind their backs, a chilling omen of their impending doom. Their faces will be contorted with fear, shame, and despair. They will cry out, "Oh, I wish I had never been given my book. I wish I had never known my reckoning." The weight of their transgressions, now laid bare for all to see, will crush them. For these individuals, the realization of their errors, their deliberate defiance, and their neglect of divine commands will be overwhelming. They will wish for oblivion, for the earth to swallow them whole, rather than face the humiliation and the terrifying consequences that await them. Their despair is not merely an emotional state, it is a profound spiritual agony, a direct consequence of their actions and choices in the worldly life. The very act of receiving the book becomes a judgment in itself, a clear indication of their ultimate destination. Following the opening of the books, the deeds of humanity are weighed on a colossal scale known as al-Mizan. This is not a metaphorical scale but a tangible one, massive beyond human comprehension, with pans that can encompass the heavens and the earth. Even a single good deed, if performed with sincerity and devotion, can outweigh mountains of worldly possessions. Conversely, a single grave sin, if unrepented, can tilt the balance irrevocably. The weighing is precise, meticulous, and utterly just. Not even an atom's weight of good or evil will be overlooked. The smallest act of charity, a kind word, a moment of patience, a sincere prayer, all will be placed on the scale. Similarly, every lie, every act of oppression, every moment of heedlessness, these too will be weighed. The outcome of this weighing determines one's eternal abode. For those whose good deeds outweigh their bad, the path to paradise is opened. For those whose bad deeds tip the balance, the path to hellfire becomes inevitable. After the weighing of deeds, all of humanity, both the righteous and the wicked, must cross the bridge of Sirat. This bridge is described in various traditions as being thinner than a hair and sharper than a sword, stretching across the abyss of hellfire. It is the final physical barrier before one's ultimate destination. The crossing of this bridge is not merely a physical act, but a spiritual manifestation of one's deeds and faith. The righteous will cross with ease and speed, some like lightning, others like galloping horses, and some like swift birds. Their light, emanating from their good deeds, will illuminate their path, guiding them safely to the other side. Angels will stand on either side, offering encouragement and prayers for their safe passage. The experience for them will be one of awe and wonder, a final affirmation of their faith and the mercy of God. The scorching sun beats down relentlessly, and the thirst is unbearable, intensifying the collective anxiety of the assembled masses. The wait for judgment stretches on, an eternity within an eternity, and the sheer magnitude of their predicament begins to crush their spirits. A desperate plea arises from the throng, a collective cry for relief, for someone to intercede on their behalf and hasten the commencement of the reckoning. They instinctively turn to the greatest among them, the prophets, those chosen by God, believing surely these exalted figures possess the influence to alleviate their suffering. The masses, in their profound distress, first approach Adam, the father of humanity, the one through whom all life began. They implore him, reminding him of his unique status, his direct creation by God, his dwelling in paradise. They beg him to ask God to begin the judgment, to bring an end to this agonizing delay. But Adam, consumed by his own past transgression, the sin of disobeying God's command not to approach the forbidden tree, is overwhelmed with fear and remorse. He shakes his head, his voice filled with regret, uttering the words that will become a haunting refrain throughout this desperate search. Nafsi, nafsi, which means myself, myself. He explains that he is not in a position to intercede, for he is preoccupied with his own accountability, his own need for God's mercy. He directs them to Nuh, the second great prophet. With a glimmer of hope, the desperate multitude turns their attention to Nuh, the prophet of the great flood, the one who endured centuries of rejection and built the ark by divine command. They approach him, Recounting his immense patience and his unique role in preserving life, they plead with him to intercede for them, to ask God to proceed with the judgment. However, Nu too is overcome by the weight of his own past. He recalls a moment of anger, a supplication he made against his people which ultimately led to their destruction. This memory, this human failing, weighs heavily on him. He repeats the same poignant words, "Nafsi, nafsi," explaining that he is concerned only with his own fate on this day. He directs the people to Ibrahim, the beloved friend of God. The weary masses, their hope beginning to wane but not extinguished, then make their way to Ibrahim, the patriarch of prophets, the one renowned for his unwavering faith and his intimate relationship with God. They remind him of his titles, his profound devotion, and his unparalleled sacrifices. They beseech him to intercede, to hasten the judgment. Yet even Ibrahim, the father of monotheism, is not immune to the immense pressure of this day. He remembers 3 instances in his life where he uttered what he perceived as slight untruths, moments of human fallibility that now loom large in his consciousness. These minor transgressions, though understood in their context, are enough to make him feel unworthy of intercession on such a momentous occasion. He too declares, "Nafsi, nafsi," his voice echoing the profound sense of individual accountability. He advises them to seek out Musa. The relentless sun continues to beat down, and the collective despair deepens as the people approach Musa, the prophet who spoke directly to God, the one who received the Torah, and who led his people out of bondage with miraculous signs. They recall his strength, his leadership, and his unique connection to the divine. They implore him, begging him to intercede and bring an end to their prolonged agony. But Musa too is humbled by the gravity of the day. He remembers an incident where he, in a moment of righteous anger, struck an Egyptian, unintentionally causing his death. This act, though not malicious, is a burden on his conscience on this day of ultimate reckoning. He repeats the familiar, heartbreaking refrain, "Nafsi, nafsi," acknowledging his own need for God's mercy and his inability to intercede for others. He directs them, with a heavy heart, to Isa. With their hopes now hanging by a thread, the exhausted and increasingly desperate multitudes turn to Isa, the Messiah, the prophet born miraculously, who performed astonishing healing and raised the dead by God's permission. They describe his unique birth, his pure life, and his divine signs, believing surely he, if anyone, can intercede for them. They plead with him to ask God to initiate the judgment. However, Isa, despite his extraordinary status, is also overcome by the profoundness of the day. He remembers the adoration of some of his followers who elevated him to a divine status, a deviation from pure monotheism that he vehemently disavowed. This misinterpretation of his role, though not his fault, makes him feel unworthy to intercede before God on such a crucial matter. He too utters "Nafsi, nafsi," a testament to the absolute individual accountability that defines this day. He explains that he cannot intercede and, with a final gesture of guidance, directs them to Muhammad, peace be upon him. The repeated utterance of "Nafsi, nafsi" by each of these revered prophets creates an overwhelming sense of tension and despair among the gathered masses. It underscores the profound isolation of each soul on this day. No lineage, no past deeds of others, no earthly status can provide solace or leverage. Every individual stands utterly alone before their Creator, accountable only for their own actions. The phrase becomes an echoing testament to the principle of individual responsibility, a stark reminder that on the Day of Judgment, every soul is truly on its own. The weight of this realization is crushing, amplifying the already unbearable conditions and the agonizing wait for a judgment that seems perpetually delayed. The scene is one of utter helplessness, a moment where the full implications of individual accountability are laid bare for all of humanity to witness and experience. The realization sinks in that only one, the final prophet, might possess the unique station to intercede, offering the last flicker of hope in an otherwise desolate landscape of despair. This is the moment of the Grand Intercession, a pivotal event in Islamic eschatology. As humanity's desperation reaches its peak, the masses turn to Muhammad, peace be upon him, with a plea unlike any other. They implore him, recognizing his unique status, to intercede with Allah on their behalf. to initiate the judgment and bring an end to the unbearable waiting. The prophet, with a humility that belies his immense station, acknowledges the weight of this responsibility and accepts the daunting task. He prostrates himself before the throne of Allah, a position of ultimate submission and devotion, and begins to offer a supplication of praise and glorification, words that no human has ever uttered before. This is not a casual request, but a profound act of worship, a testament to his deep love and reverence for his Creator. As Muhammad, peace be upon him, remains in prostration, Allah addresses him, asking him to raise his head and to ask, for his request will be granted. This divine response marks the turning point, the moment when the gate of mercy begins to open for all of humanity. The Prophet then makes his momentous plea, "My ummah, my ummah." His intercession is not for himself, but for his community, for all who believed in the oneness of Allah and followed his message. It is a testament to his compassion and his unwavering concern for his followers, a demonstration of the boundless love he held for humanity. This act of intercession is unique, a privilege bestowed upon him alone, distinguishing him from all other prophets who, in their own moments of intense trial, could only utter "Nafsi, Nafsi." Following the Prophet's intercession, the process of judgment finally commences. The vast expanse of the plain of resurrection transforms as the scales of justice, known as al-Mizan, are brought forth. These are not ordinary scales, but instruments of absolute precision and divine origin, capable of weighing not just physical deeds but intentions, thoughts, and even the most fleeting whispers of the heart. The very fabric of reality seems to shift as each individual's life record, meticulously preserved in the books of deeds, is placed upon these scales. On one side are the good deeds, the acts of worship, charity, kindness, and righteousness, sparkling with a divine light. On the other, the transgressions, the sins, the moments of heedlessness and rebellion, casting shadows. The tension is palpable as every soul watches, breath held, as their eternal destiny hangs in the balance. Every person, without exception, will be presented with their book of deeds. This book, described as a scroll or a tablet, contains a complete and unedited record of their entire life, from their first breath to their last. Nothing is omitted, no act too small to be recorded, no thought too fleeting to be documented. The Quran states, "And the book will be placed, and you will see the criminals fearful of that which is therein, and they will say, 'Oh, woe to us! What is this book that leaves nothing small or great except that it has enumerated it?' And they will find what they did present and before them, and your Lord does not wrong anyone." This vivid depiction emphasizes the comprehensive nature of the accounting. For some, the book will be a source of immense joy and relief, as their good deeds shine brightly. For others, it will be a source of profound regret and terror, a stark mirror reflecting a life lived in heedlessness. Adding another layer of profound accountability, one's own body parts will bear witness against or for them. The tongue, the hands, the feet, and even the skin will speak, recounting the actions they performed. This is a chilling prospect for those who sought to conceal their wrongdoings, believing their secrets were safe. The very organs that facilitated their actions will become irrefutable witnesses, leaving no room for denial or fabrication. The Quran describes this scene. "That day we will seal over their mouths, and their hands will speak to us, and their feet will testify as to what they used to earn." This concept highlights the absolute justice of Allah, where even the most intimate parts of one's being cannot hide the truth. It underscores the idea that every part of creation, including one's own physical self, is subservient to the divine will and will ultimately contribute to the unfolding of truth on Judgment Day. After countless ages of agonizing waiting, after the desperate pleas of humanity had been rejected by prophet after prophet, a palpable shift occurs on the plain of gathering. The collective despair, thick as a shroud, begins to lift as all eyes turn to the final hope. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he who had been directed by the earlier prophets, now stands before the divine throne, a beacon of mercy and unwavering resolve. This moment is the culmination of humanity's deepest yearning for relief, a dramatic emotional payoff after an eternity of suspense. The prophet, burdened by the weight of his Ummah's future, prostrates himself before Allah, not with the nafsi of others, but with an earnest, heartfelt supplication for his community. His concern for every single soul, from the most righteous to the most sinful, is evident in his silent prayer, a testament to his unique position and boundless compassion. His plea, unlike those before him, is accepted. A wave of profound relief washes over the assembled masses, a collective sigh escaping millions upon millions of throats. The endless waiting, the suffocating heat, the crushing anxiety, all of it begins to recede as the divine decree for judgment is finally pronounced. This acceptance marks the true beginning of the accounting, the long-anticipated moment when deeds will be weighed and destinies determined. The atmosphere transforms from one of utter hopelessness to one of cautious optimism, intertwined with an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the Prophet's unwavering dedication. It is a powerful affirmation of his title, Mercy to the Worlds. With the intercession granted, the gears of divine justice begin to turn with swift and absolute precision. The period of prolonged agony is over, replaced by a structured, albeit still terrifying, progression towards individual reckoning. The Prophet's act of intercession is not merely a symbolic gesture, it is the catalyst that allows the entire process of judgment to move forward, bringing an end to the limbo that had gripped creation since the resurrection. This pivotal moment underscores the immense spiritual authority and unique favor bestowed upon Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him by Allah. It is a testament to the profound connection between the Prophet and his followers, a bond that transcends earthly existence and extends into the eternal realm. The gratitude felt by humanity is immeasurable, a deep resonant echo across the vast plains, as the true meaning of his mercy unfolds before their very eyes. The stage is now set for the meticulous examination of every life lived, every choice made, and every intention harbored. Before the individual accounts are settled, a grand unveiling takes place, a moment of profound revelation where the totality of each soul's journey is laid bare. This is the presentation of the Book of Deeds, a meticulously kept cosmic ledger that records every action, every intention, every whispered thought, from the dawn of creation until the final breath. It is not merely a record of good and bad, it is a comprehensive, unalterable narrative of an entire existence. Imagine, if you will, a scroll unfurling, not of parchment but of pure light, containing the very essence of your life, intricately detailed and perfectly preserved. For some, this book will be a source of immense joy, its pages glowing with righteous acts and sincere devotion. They will receive it in their right hand, a symbol of divine favor and a precursor to eternal bliss. The weight of this moment is immense, a culmination of decades, even centuries, of striving, of faith, of sacrifice. Conversely, for others, the presentation of their book will be fraught with terror and despair. These are the ones whose lives were marked by defiance, by heedlessness, by a persistent turning away from divine guidance. Their book will be given to them in their left hand, a chilling sign of impending judgment and a stark reminder of their transgressions. The shame and regret will be unbearable, a crushing weight that far surpasses any earthly sorrow. They will see recorded within its pages every missed prayer, every broken promise, every act of injustice, every moment of heedless indulgence. The whispers of their conscience, once easily ignored, will now roar with an undeniable clarity, echoing the truth of their own choices. The very sight of this book, a mirror reflecting their true selves, will be a torment in itself, a prelude to the greater reckoning that awaits. The accuracy of these books of deeds is beyond question, for they are not merely passive records but living testimonies. On that day, Allah Himself will be the ultimate witness, a reality that instills both awe and trepidation. But the witnessing does not end there. Every individual's own body parts will bear witness against them. Imagine your hands, which once performed countless actions, now speaking, articulating every touch, every grasp, every deed, both seen and unseen. Your feet, which carried you through life's pathways, will describe every step taken, every direction chosen. Your ears, which heard every sound, will recount every word listened to, every piece of gossip absorbed, every warning ignored. And your eyes, which beheld the world, will testify to every gaze, every sight observed, every temptation indulged. This direct, undeniable testimony from one's own physical form leaves no room for denial or obfuscation. Beyond the self-testimony, there are also the ever-present angelic scribes, known as the Kiram and Katibin, the noble recorders. These celestial beings have been diligently documenting every action, every word, every intention, from the moment of birth until death. They are impartial, tireless, and infallible witnesses, their records perfectly aligning with the contents of the Book of Deeds. Their testimony adds another layer of irrefutable evidence, a divine surveillance that transcends human comprehension. Even the very ground upon which deeds were committed will speak, recounting the events that transpired upon its surface. The trees, the stones, the air itself, all will become articulate witnesses, their memories perfect and unblemished. This comprehensive array of witnesses ensures that no soul can escape accountability, and no deed, however small or seemingly insignificant, can remain hidden. Following the presentation of the books of deeds and the overwhelming chorus of witnesses, the next stage of judgment commences, the setting up of the scales of justice, known as the mizan. This is not a metaphorical scale, but a real tangible apparatus, immense in its grandeur and perfect in its precision. It is a divine instrument designed to weigh every single deed, every thought, every intention, with absolute fairness and impartiality. Imagine two massive pans suspended from a central beam, ready to receive the accumulated good and bad actions of every soul. The very thought of such a scale, overseen by the Almighty, is enough to humble the most arrogant and terrify the most heedless. It is a moment of profound truth, where the abstract concepts of right and wrong are quantified, and their true spiritual weight is revealed. On one pan of the mizan, the good deeds will be placed. Every act of charity, every sincere prayer, every kind word, every moment of patience, every effort made in the pursuit of knowledge for Allah's sake, every tear shed in remorse, every hardship endured with faith. These actions, imbued with divine grace, will possess a profound spiritual weight, far exceeding their earthly manifestation. Even a single good intention, if pure, can outweigh a mountain of worldly accomplishments. Conversely, on the other pan, the bad deeds will be placed. Every act of oppression, every lie, every moment of arrogance, every transgression against Allah's commands, every injustice inflicted upon another, these actions, devoid of divine blessing, will bear a heavy, corrupting weight. The mizan is not merely a quantitative measure, it is a qualitative one, assessing the sincerity, the intention, and the spiritual impact of each action. As the mizan stands ready, an even more personal and profound aspect of judgment unfolds: the distribution of the books of deeds. These are not metaphorical ledgers, but actual scrolls, billions upon billions of them, each meticulously documenting the entire life of a single individual. Imagine a vast, ethereal library, where every thought, every word, every deed, from the first breath to the last, is perfectly preserved. Now, envision these countless records taking flight, swirling through the air like an endless flock of otherworldly birds, each one unerringly drawn to its rightful owner amidst the throngs of humanity. The sheer scale of this event, the individual accountability for every living soul, is almost incomprehensible. It is a moment where personal history, once private and fleeting, becomes an open book, laid bare before the divine gaze. The imagery of receiving this personal record is one of the most powerful and anticipated moments of the Day of Judgment. For the righteous, those whose lives were guided by faith and good deeds, their book will be delivered into their right hand. This act is a symbol of honor, acceptance, and divine pleasure. It signifies that their account is favorable, that their good deeds have outweighed their transgressions, and that their efforts in this world have been recognized and rewarded. The joy and relief that will wash over these individuals as they grasp their book in their right hand is beyond earthly description. It is the culmination of a lifetime of striving, a tangible representation of their success in the ultimate test. They will eagerly read their record, finding solace and confirmation in its pages, and their faces will radiate with the light of contentment. Conversely, for those who lived lives of sin, disobedience, and denial, their book will be given into their left hand, or, in some narrations, from behind their back. This is a sign of disgrace, rejection, and profound regret. The very act of receiving the book in this manner is a stark indicator of their unfavorable standing before Allah. Shame and terror will grip them as they reluctantly take hold of their record, knowing full well the damning contents within. They will attempt to hide it, to deny its authenticity, but there will be no escape from the truth it contains. This moment encapsulates the despair of those who wasted their lives, who ignored the divine guidance, and who now face the inescapable consequences of their choices. Within the pages of these comprehensive records, every hidden deed, every forgotten action, and every unspoken intention will be revealed. Nothing will be omitted, nothing overlooked. The smallest whisper of a thought, the most fleeting glance, the most secret act of charity, the most private transgression, all will be there meticulously recorded. It is a complete and unalterable transcript of one's earthly existence. Imagine reading through your own life story, not as you remember it, filtered through the biases of memory and self-deception, but as it actually unfolded, with every detail, every motivation, every consequence laid bare. The shock of confronting forgotten sins, the surprise of discovering overlooked good deeds, the raw honesty of the record will be overwhelming. This divine accounting leaves no room for excuses or revisionist histories. It is the ultimate, unvarnished truth of who we truly were. The implications of this revelation are profound. For some, it will be a source of immense pride and joy as they witness the countless acts of kindness, devotion, and sincerity that they may have even forgotten. They will see how their small sacrifices and quiet acts of worship accumulated into a mountain of good deeds, earning them divine favor. For others, it will be a source of unimaginable regret and anguish. They will confront the moments they chose self-indulgence over obedience, the opportunities for good they squandered, the injustices they committed, and the countless transgressions they thought were hidden from all eyes. The weight of these revelations, the undeniable proof of their own failings, will be an unbearable burden. This moment serves as a powerful reminder that every action, however seemingly insignificant, carries weight in the divine ledger. Consider for a moment what it would be like to receive your own book. What emotions would stir within you as you reach out to grasp it? Would your hand tremble with eager anticipation or with dread? Would you open it slowly with a sense of hopeful curiosity? Or would you hesitate, fearing the truths it might reveal? What forgotten good deeds might surprise you? What seemingly insignificant acts of kindness, long erased from your own memory, might suddenly resurface as shining beacons of your character? Conversely, what hidden flaws, what secret sins, what moments of weakness or malice would leap from the pages, confronting you with the stark reality of your past choices? This introspection, this deep self-reflection, is precisely what the concept of the books of deeds aims to provoke. It is a call to live a life mindful of this ultimate accounting, to strive for a record that one would be proud to present before the Creator. The certainty of this moment, the knowledge that every single human being will face their own comprehensive life record, should serve as a powerful motivator for righteous living and constant self-correction. It underscores the ultimate reality that our lives are not lived in a vacuum, but are meticulously observed, recorded, and will one day be fully revealed. Having confronted the full spectrum of their life's actions within the pages of their individual scrolls, humanity then faces the next pivotal stage, the mizan, the divine scales of justice. This is not a metaphorical concept, but a literal weighing, a precise and infallible assessment, where deeds, both good and bad, are given their true measure. Imagine an immense set of scales, far grander and more intricate than any earthly device, suspended before the assembled masses. On one pan, the cumulative weight of a person's good deeds is placed. Each prayer, each act of charity, each kind word, each moment of patience and forgiveness, each struggle against temptation, each effort to uphold truth and justice, all manifesting as tangible, quantifiable substances. These are not merely symbolic gestures. They are imbued with a divine reality that allows them to be weighed with absolute accuracy. Conversely, on the other pan of the mizan, the entirety of a person's transgressions, their sins, their acts of injustice, their moments of selfishness, their heedlessness, their pride, their malice, all are meticulously accounted for and placed. The very air would seem to thicken with the gravity of this moment, as each individual's eternal destiny hangs in the balance, determined by which pan ultimately descends. It is here that the true value of seemingly small actions becomes profoundly evident. A single sincere smile given to a stranger, an earnest prayer whispered in the quiet of the night, a moment of restraint when anger flared, could tip the scales in a person's favor, outweighing mountains of neglect or minor failings. Conversely, a seemingly trivial act of gossip, a fleeting moment of envy indulged, or an unrepented injustice, could prove to be the heavy counterweight that condemns. The precision of the mizan is absolute, reflecting God's perfect knowledge and justice. There is no possibility of error, no oversight, no misjudgment. Every intention, every circumstance, every mitigating factor, and every deliberate choice is taken into account. This weighing is not merely a quantitative exercise but a qualitative one, where the sincerity behind an act, the difficulty overcome to perform it, and its lasting impact are all factored into its ultimate weight. For instance, a small act of charity performed by someone with very little to give might weigh far more than a grand donation from an individual of immense wealth if the former was given with greater sacrifice and purity of intention. This divine precision ensures that ultimate justice is served and no soul is wronged even by the weight of an atom. As the scales finally settle, a verdict is rendered that reverberates through the assembled throngs. For those whose pan of good deeds outweighs their transgressions, a profound sense of relief, joy, and anticipation washes over them. They are among the successful, the chosen, destined for the eternal bliss of paradise. Their faces will be radiant, their hearts overflowing with gratitude. For those whose pan of evil deeds proves heavier, a chilling despair descends. The realization of their ultimate failure, the stark reality of their choices, and the impending consequence of hellfire become undeniably clear. Their countenances will be darkened by sorrow and regret, their souls heavy with the burden of their misdeeds. The mizan, therefore, is not just a mechanism of judgment, it is a profound demonstration of God's absolute justice and mercy, a moment where every individual is presented with the irrefutable consequence of their life's journey. It serves as a final, undeniable testament to the principle that every action, every thought, every intention holds eternal significance. The mizan, or scales of justice, represents a pivotal moment in divine judgment, emphasizing absolute fairness. This is a literal measurement, not symbolic, where every action, intention, and word from a person's life is brought forth and weighed. Imagine the entirety of human existence compressed into discernible spiritual units. On one pan, all good deeds are placed: kindness, sincere worship, charity, patience, forgiveness, and striving for righteousness. These are not abstract but tangible spiritual entities, accurately weighed. Conversely, the other pan holds all transgressions, sins, injustices, selfishness, heedlessness, pride, and malice. The gravity of this moment is immense, as an individual's eternal destiny hangs in the balance. Even seemingly small actions gain profound significance here. A sincere smile, a whispered prayer, or a moment of restraint might tip the scales favorably, outweighing considerable failings. Conversely, a trivial act of gossip or unrepented injustice could become the heavy counterweight leading to condemnation. The mizan's precision is absolute, reflecting God's perfect knowledge and justice. There is no error or oversight. Every intention, circumstance, and choice is considered. This weighing is both quantitative and qualitative, factoring in sincerity, difficulty, and lasting impact. A small act of charity from a poor person might weigh more than a large donation from the wealthy, if given with greater sacrifice and pure intention. This divine precision ensures ultimate justice, where no soul is wronged. As the scales settle, a verdict is rendered. For those whose good deeds outweigh transgressions, relief and joy wash over them. They are destined for paradise, their faces radiant. For those whose evil deeds are heavier, despair descends. The reality of their choices and the impending hellfire become clear, their countenances darkened by regret. The mizan demonstrates God's absolute justice and mercy, presenting each individual with the irrefutable consequence of their life's journey. Every action and intention holds eternal significance. Following the mizan's judgment, humanity faces a final trial, crossing the Sirat. This bridge is described as finer than a hair and sharper than a sword, stretching precariously over hellfire. Every soul must attempt this passage, a test of faith and the cumulative impact of one's deeds. The journey across the Sirat varies. The righteous, whose scales tilted towards good, cross swiftly and effortlessly, like lightning or wind, their light illuminating the path. Prophets and martyrs lead the way, and angels offer support. This swift crossing affirms their worthiness for paradise. Conversely, for those whose lives were stained by disbelief or sin, the Sirat becomes an agonizing ordeal. Their steps are hesitant, their bodies heavy. Many stumble and fall into the fiery depths below. Darkness surrounds them, punctuated by hellfire's terrifying roars. Hooks and thorns embedded in the bridge symbolize worldly misdeeds, pulling them towards doom. This horrific descent is a stark culmination of their life's choices. The crossing's duration also varies. For some, it is fleeting. For others, it feels like an eternity of struggle and terror. The intensity of suffering is proportional to the severity of sins. Minor transgressors might endure a difficult but successful passage, while unrepentant sinners find no escape, only a direct path into eternal torment. The cries of those falling into the abyss create a chilling symphony of despair. Amidst this peril, divine mercy and intercession play a crucial role. Prophet Muhammad is described as being present at the Sirat, fervently supplicating for his community, crying, "O Allah, save my nation." This intercession, Shafa, expresses his immense compassion. It highlights that even within ultimate justice, divine mercy offers hope for the deserving, granted by God's permission. This moment tests and affirms the bonds of faith and community. Upon successfully traversing the Sirat, the righteous arrive at the gates of paradise, a realm of unimaginable beauty. These vast gates, adorned with intricate designs, emanate a serene light. Each gate is designated for specific categories of righteous individuals, such as those who prayed or gave charity. The air around these gates is filled with delightful fragrances and melodious recitations, a stark contrast to the Sirat. Entry into paradise is a moment of profound joy. Angels greet the inhabitants with peace, announcing their eternal reward. Their faces radiate happiness as they step into a world beyond their dreams. Clothed in silk and adorned with jewels, they are guided to magnificent dwellings built from pearls and gold. Rivers of milk, honey and wine flow beneath their palaces, and luscious gardens provide endless bounty. Here, every desire is fulfilled. There is no exhaustion, sorrow, pain, or fear of death. The greatest joy is the beatific vision of God himself. In stark contrast, for those who failed to cross the Sirat or whose deeds condemn them, the gates of hell stand as a terrifying final destination. These 7 gates lead to different levels of torment, tailored to the severity of transgressions. The sight of these dark, ominous gates evokes dread. They are guarded by formidable angels, the Zabananya, who show no mercy. The atmosphere around hell's gates is one of oppressive heat, suffocating smoke, and the deafening roar of the inferno within. Entry into hell is a moment of ultimate despair and humiliation. Inhabitants are dragged into its depths, their faces blackened, their bodies chained. They are met by hell's angels with harsh accusations. Clothed in fire, their skin is constantly renewed for perpetual punishment. The food is zakum, a tree with bitter thorny fruit, and their drink is boiling water and pus. The torment is physical, emotional, and spiritual, an endless cycle of pain and hopelessness. The fire is intensely hot, and the cries of its inhabitants form an agonizing chorus of eternal suffering. Even after final judgment, the concept of intercession, particularly Prophet Muhammad's grand intercession, remains a profound aspect of Islamic eschatology. While initial judgment is final, layers of divine mercy can still be invoked for believers, especially those who committed sins but maintained faith. This intercession is not automatic, but granted by God's permission to those he wills, a testament to the Prophet's exalted status and compassion. Prophet Muhammad's intercession occurs in various stages for different groups. His greatest intercession, Al-Shafa al-Uzma, is for the entire assembly on Judgment Day, to initiate the judgment process itself. Afterwards, he intercedes for believers who, despite sins, are not deserving of eternal damnation. He will intercede for those in hell to be released, and for those on the brink of entering hell to be spared. This shows that even within strict divine justice, there is immense mercy and potential redemption for true believers. Beyond the Prophet's intercession, other forms are permissible by God's leave. Martyrs, pious scholars, and children who died before puberty can intercede for loved ones. This highlights the Muslim community's interconnectedness and the enduring impact of righteous deeds. Intercession is not meant to encourage complacency but to instill hope and reinforce seeking God's pleasure. It reminds believers that divine mercy is vast, offering many avenues for forgiveness if one maintains sincere belief in God's oneness. Ultimately, the Day of Judgment in Islam is a meticulously detailed and awe-inspiring event, encompassing every aspect of human life and culminating in eternal consequences. From the trumpet blast signaling the end of worlds, through resurrection, gathering, accounting of deeds, weighing on the mizan, the perilous crossing of the sirat, and finally entry into paradise or hell, each stage reinforces core Islamic tenets. It underscores God's absolute sovereignty, accountability, the importance of faith and good deeds, and the boundless nature of divine justice and mercy. It serves as a constant reminder for believers to live a life of purpose, righteousness, and sincere devotion, preparing for that inevitable ultimate encounter with their Creator. Amidst the solemnity of judgment and the stark realities of accountability, a moment of profound hope and immediate reward unfolds for the faithful. After navigating the immense trials of the Day of Judgment, including the scorching sun, the overwhelming thirst, and the terrifying passage over the Sirat, believers are drawn towards a divine sanctuary, the Pool of Kawthar. This blessed pool, a gift from Allah to Prophet Muhammad, offers an immediate respite, a tangible reward for their unwavering faith and righteous deeds in the earthly life. The Pool of Kawthar is described with qualities that transcend earthly beauty and refreshment. Its waters are whiter than milk, radiating a purity that soothes the eyes and the soul, and sweeter than honey, offering a taste of divine bliss that instantly quenches the thirst accumulated through the long and arduous day. The scent emanating from this celestial spring is more fragrant than musk, filling the air with an intoxicating aroma that signifies peace and contentment. Around its edges are vessels, numbering as many as the stars in the sky, ready to be used by those deemed worthy to drink from its miraculous bounty. Prophet Muhammad himself stands at this sacred pool, welcoming his followers. With his own blessed hands, he offers the life-giving water to those who truly believed in him and followed his path. This personal welcome from the Prophet is an immense honor, a culmination of the spiritual journey, and a clear sign of divine acceptance. Drinking from the Pool of Kawthar is not merely about quenching physical thirst. It is a spiritual rejuvenation, a cleansing of the soul, and a promise of eternal satisfaction. For the believers who have endured the terrors of the Day of Judgment, this moment at the Pool of Kawthar provides a much-needed emotional reprieve. It is a beacon of hope and mercy after the intense scrutiny of deeds, the fear of the mizan, and the perilous crossing of the sirat. The feeling of relief and refreshment is palpable, washing over them like a cool, pure stream, erasing the anxieties and exhaustion of the preceding events. This immediate reward serves as a powerful symbol of Allah's boundless generosity and compassion towards those who strove to please Him. This scene also serves as a profound source of inspiration and devotion for believers in this life. The promise of drinking from the Pool of Kawthar, offered by the Prophet himself, instills a deep longing and motivates them to uphold their faith, perform good deeds, and adhere to the teachings of Islam. It is a vivid image of the tangible rewards awaiting the righteous, reinforcing the belief that every effort, every sacrifice, and every act of devotion will be recognized and generously compensated in the hereafter. The anticipation of this divine refreshment strengthens their resolve to remain steadfast on the path of righteousness, knowing that an unimaginable reward awaits them at the end of their journey. As the righteous emerge from the trials of the Sirat and are refreshed by the waters of Kawthar, their journey culminates at the gates of Jannah, the ultimate destination of eternal bliss. These gates are not mere entryways, they are magnificent thresholds, each one unique and designated for specific categories of believers. Tradition speaks of 8 such gates, each bearing a name that reflects the virtues of those who pass through it. There is Bab as-Salah, the gate of prayer, reserved for those who meticulously observed their daily prayers, a pillar of their faith. Then there is Bab as-Sawm, the gate of fasting, through which those who faithfully fasted during Ramadan and observed voluntary fasts will enter. This gate, also known as Al-Rayyan, is so special that only fasters may pass through it, and once they have entered, it will be closed to all others. Further gates include Bab Zakat, the gate of charity, for those who generously gave from their wealth to aid the poor and needy, purifying their possessions and their souls. Bab al-Hajj, the gate of pilgrimage, awaits those who undertook the sacred journey to Mecca, fulfilling a profound spiritual obligation. Beyond these are gates like Bab al-Jihad, the gate of striving, for those who exerted themselves in the path of Allah, whether through physical struggle or intellectual endeavor to uphold justice and truth. There is also Bab al-Iman, the gate of faith, welcoming those whose belief was unwavering and whose hearts were filled with sincere conviction. And Bab al-Dhikr, the gate of remembrance, for those whose lives were characterized by constant remembrance and glorification of Allah. Finally, there is Bab al-Kadhimin al-Gahiz wal-Afina anin nas, the gate for those who suppressed their anger and pardoned people, demonstrating profound self-control and compassion. The arrival at these gates is described as a moment of profound joy and recognition. Angels, guardians of Jannah, stand ready to greet the inhabitants, their faces radiant with welcome. They usher the righteous through, proclaiming, "Peace be upon you, for you have persevered. What an excellent end is this abode." This angelic salutation is not just a formal greeting, it is an affirmation of their successful journey, a recognition of their steadfastness and patience through the tribulations of life and the day of judgment. The gates themselves are said to be adorned with precious jewels, emitting a light and fragrance unlike anything known in the earthly realm, hinting at the unimaginable splendors within. Once inside, the sheer immensity and beauty of Jannah unfold. It is a realm beyond human comprehension, described in the Quran and Hadith with vivid yet ultimately metaphorical language to convey its unparalleled glory. Gardens beneath which rivers flow are a recurring motif, symbolizing tranquility, abundance, and purity. These rivers are not merely water. Some are of milk, never souring, others of honey, pure and clear, and still others of wine, delightful to drink, without intoxication or headache. The soil of Jannah is saffron and musk, its pebbles pearls and rubies, and its trees have trunks of gold. The fruits are always in season, perpetually within reach, and their taste is unlike any fruit tasted in this world. The dwellings within Jannah are equally magnificent. Built from bricks of gold and silver, adorned with precious stones, believers will reside in palaces and pavilions, each tailored to their deeds and spiritual rank. They will be attended by youthful servants, described as scattered pearls, ever ready to fulfill their desires. The clothing of the inhabitants will be of silk and brocade, finer than any earthly fabric, and they will be adorned with bracelets of gold and silver and crowns of pearls. The atmosphere is one of eternal peace and harmony, free from all pain, sorrow, fatigue, and envy. There is no sickness, no aging, and no death. Time itself seems to dissolve, as the inhabitants live in a perpetual state of bliss, their joy unmarred by any imperfection. The greatest blessing within Jannah, however, transcends all these material comforts and aesthetic wonders. It is the vision of Allah Himself. This ultimate reward is described as the culmination of all desires, a moment of such profound spiritual ecstasy that all other joys pale in comparison. The righteous will gaze upon their Lord, a privilege denied in the earthly life, and this vision will fill their hearts with an indescribable joy and contentment. This is the true essence of Jannah, the ultimate proximity to the divine, a state of eternal favor and communion with the Creator. It is this promise that truly motivates believers, providing a profound spiritual anchor through all the challenges and temptations of the temporal world. After the distribution of the books of deeds and the meticulous weighing on the scales of justice, a final, terrifying trial awaits every soul before their ultimate destination is sealed. This is the crossing of the Bridge of Sirat, a path described with chilling precision in Islamic tradition. It is said to be thinner than a strand of hair and sharper than the keenest blade, stretched precariously over the chasm of hellfire. The very thought of it sends shivers down the spine, a testament to the immense peril it represents. This bridge is not a mere physical construct. It is a spiritual crucible, a final filter that separates the righteous from the condemned, the saved from the lost. The darkness surrounding the Bridge of Sirat is absolute, a thick, suffocating void that amplifies the terror of the crossing. There are no guiding lights, no visible handrails, only the infernal glow of hellfire flickering ominously from the abyss below. This profound darkness symbolizes the spiritual blindness of those who neglected their faith, and it magnifies the difficulty of traversing such an impossible path. Each individual soul, stripped of all worldly possessions and earthly status, must attempt this solitary journey. There is no companionship, no shared burden. Each step is a testament to their own deeds and their own faith. The air itself is heavy with the weight of anticipation, a silent cosmic judgment unfolding with each precarious footfall. The success or failure of crossing the Sirat is directly proportional to one's actions, beliefs, and devotion during their earthly life. For the truly righteous, those whose hearts were pure and whose deeds were exemplary, the crossing will be swift and effortless. They may pass like a flash of lightning, or a strong wind, or a swift horse, their faith illuminating their path and their good deeds forming a sturdy, unseen foundation beneath their feet. The bridge for them might widen and become an easy road, a testament to God's mercy and their unwavering devotion. Their faces will be radiant, their hearts filled with a profound sense of relief and gratitude as they emerge from the darkness into the light of paradise. Conversely, for those whose lives were marred by sin, disbelief, and oppression, the Sirat will present an unimaginable torment. The bridge will remain thin and sharp, its surface treacherous, perhaps even adorned with hooks and thorns designed to ensnare and tear. Their passage will be agonizingly slow, each step a struggle against gravity and the terrifying pull of the abyss. Some may crawl, others may stumble, and many will ultimately lose their footing, plummeting into the fiery depths of hell below. Their cries will echo through the darkness, a harrowing reminder of the consequences of their earthly choices. The vivid descriptions of this descent are meant to instill a profound sense of accountability and to emphasize the gravity of every decision made in this life. The precariousness of this ultimate path maintains an intense suspense, not just for the souls attempting the crossing, but for all who witness it. It is a moment of ultimate reckoning, where the true measure of a person's life is laid bare. Even those who have been granted entry into paradise must first witness this final trial, their hearts filled with a mixture of hope for their fellow believers and dread for those who falter. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is described as being present at the Sirat, supplicating for his community, urging them onward, and offering prayers for their safe passage. This intercession, however, is only effective for those who have a foundation of faith and good deeds upon which to build. The Bridge of Sirat is more than just a physical obstacle, it is a metaphor for the human journey through life itself, a constant navigation between good and evil, truth and falsehood, light and darkness. Just as one must carefully choose their path in this world, avoiding pitfalls and seeking guidance, so too must they cross this final bridge. Every intention, every word, every action, no matter how small, contributes to the solidity or fragility of one's footing on that terrifying span. The thought of it compels believers to strive for righteousness, to purify their hearts, and to live a life that will prepare them for this ultimate test. It is a stark reminder that every moment on earth is an opportunity to build a stronger foundation for the eternal journey ahead. The imagery of the Sirat also serves as a powerful deterrent against heedlessness and arrogance. No matter how powerful or wealthy one was in the worldly life, all distinctions vanish at the foot of this bridge. The CEO, the pauper, the scholar, the illiterate, all are equal in their vulnerability as they face this singular, terrifying challenge. Their only currency is their faith and their deeds. This egalitarian nature of the Sirat underscores the Islamic principle that true honor and status are found only in piety and obedience to God, not in fleeting worldly achievements. It is a final, humbling lesson before the eternal destinies are forever sealed. The journey across the Sirat is also a testament to the absolute justice of God. No one is unfairly burdened, and no one is unjustly condemned. Each soul's passage reflects the exact measure of their life's work. The speed, the ease, or the difficulty of their crossing is a direct consequence of their choices and their efforts. There is no appeal, no second chance. The judgment of the scales has already been rendered, and the Sirat is the execution of that verdict. It is a moment of profound transparency, where the hidden truths of hearts and the secret intentions behind actions are fully revealed and accounted for. As souls approach the end of the Sirat, the anticipation intensifies. Beyond the bridge lies either the verdant, sprawling gardens of Jannah, with its eternal bliss and divine presence, or the roaring, consuming fire of Jahannam, with its endless torment and despair. The sight of Jannah's gates, or the terrifying roar of hell, awaits those who successfully traverse or tragically fall. This final perilous stage before the ultimate destinations is designed to instill both immense hope for the steadfast and profound fear for the heedless. It is the ultimate test of resilience, faith, and the enduring legacy of one's life. The Bridge of Sirat stands as a monumental symbol of the absolute accountability that defines the Day of Judgment in Islam. Upon reaching the end of the Sirat, the journey does not immediately conclude for all. While some are granted direct entry into their eternal abode, others face a period of purification. This intermediate stage, often described as a form of spiritual cleansing, is not a continuation of the Sirat itself, but rather a final preparation before entering Jannah. For those believers who committed sins but were not among the gravest transgressors, this purification serves as a divine mercy, removing the stains of their earthly errors so they may enter paradise in a state of absolute purity. It is a testament to the meticulous justice of Allah, where even the smallest imperfections are addressed before the ultimate reward is bestowed. The concept of intercession, or shafa, plays a crucial role in the final stages of the Day of Judgment. Prophets, righteous individuals, and even martyrs, by Allah's permission, will intercede on behalf of others. The greatest intercession belongs to Prophet Muhammad, who will plead for his community on the Day of Reckoning. This act of mercy underscores the compassionate aspect of divine justice, demonstrating that while accountability is absolute, Allah's mercy encompasses all things. It offers a glimmer of hope for those who, despite their shortcomings, held sincere faith and strove to live righteously. This intercession is not an arbitrary act, but a divinely ordained process, a final opportunity for forgiveness and grace for those deemed worthy by the Almighty. The gates of paradise, Jannah, finally swing open, revealing a realm of unimaginable splendor that stands in stark contrast to the trials and terrors that preceded it. This is not merely a garden, but an eternal expanse of bliss, a reward meticulously prepared for those who dedicated their lives to righteousness and faith. Every detail, from the gentle breezes to the flowing rivers, is designed to bring ultimate peace and unending joy to its inhabitants, a profound realization of the divine promise that sustained them through their earthly existence. Within Jannah, rivers flow with pure water, milk, wine that does not intoxicate, and clear honey, each taste more exquisite than anything conceivable in the mortal world. Trees bear fruits of every description, available effortlessly, their branches bending low to offer their bounty to those who desire them. The very air is fragrant with musk and amber, and the ground is covered with soft emerald green carpets, stretching endlessly beneath skies of brilliant, ever-changing hues. This is a place where every desire is instantly fulfilled, where hunger and thirst are unknown, replaced by perpetual satisfaction and delight. Paradise is not a singular, uniform destination, rather it comprises various levels or degrees, each more magnificent than the last, reserved for those whose deeds and faith were of the highest caliber. The highest of these is Firdaus, a sublime realm of unparalleled beauty and proximity to the divine. Each level offers unique delights and greater proximity to Allah's grace, reflecting the immense diversity of human devotion and effort. The vastness of Jannah implies an infinite array of pleasures, from magnificent palaces adorned with pearls and precious gems to tranquil retreats by crystal-clear streams, ensuring that every soul finds its ultimate comfort and joy. The inhabitants of Jannah will experience a joy that transcends earthly understanding, a serenity that can never be disturbed, and a complete fulfillment that leaves no room for longing or regret. They will reside in eternal youth, free from sickness, old age, or any form of discomfort. Their garments will be of the finest silk and brocade, and they will recline on luxurious couches, attended by ever-youthful servants. Most profoundly, they will be granted the ability to gaze upon the countenance of Allah, a bliss so profound that all other delights pale in comparison, an experience reserved for the most righteous and beloved of his servants. The fellowship in paradise is equally profound, as families and loved ones who were righteous will be reunited, their bonds strengthened and purified. There will be no envy, no malice, no discord, only pure love, companionship, and mutual respect among its residents. They will converse, share meals, and enjoy the countless blessings of Jannah in perfect harmony, their hearts filled with gratitude and contentment. This reunion is a testament to the enduring power of human connection, elevated to a divine plane where relationships are perfected and eternal. Every moment in Jannah is characterized by peace and security. There is no fear of loss, no anxiety about the future, and no remembrance of past sorrows. The worries and struggles of the earthly life, the pain of separation, the burden of toil, all are completely erased and replaced by an unending state of tranquility. The very essence of paradise is peace, a state of being where the soul finds its ultimate rest and rejuvenation, forever in the embrace of divine mercy and grace. The delights of paradise extend beyond material comforts. They encompass spiritual joys and intellectual fulfillment. The inhabitants will engage in conversations with prophets and saints, gaining deeper understanding of divine wisdom and the mysteries of creation. They will learn and grow in knowledge, their intellects expanded to comprehend truths previously beyond their grasp. This intellectual and spiritual nourishment ensures that the bliss of Jannah is comprehensive, addressing every facet of the human and spiritual being. The sounds of Jannah are equally enchanting. The gentle rustling of leaves, the melodious calls of birds, the soft murmur of flowing water, and the heavenly recitations of angels. There are no harsh noises, no clamour, only soothing and beautiful sounds that contribute to the overall tranquility and joy of the environment. Music in paradise is described as being of such purity and beauty that it fills the heart with unimaginable delight. A celestial symphony that continuously elevates the soul. Ultimately, paradise represents the ultimate victory for the believer, the culmination of a life lived in submission to Allah. It is the complete realization of divine promise, a testament to Allah's boundless generosity and mercy towards those who strove for His pleasure. It is the final destination where every righteous deed is rewarded beyond measure, and every act of patience and perseverance is eternally compensated. The existence within Jannah is not merely survival, but a thriving, joyous, and eternally blessed state, a perpetual embrace of divine love and favor. It is the true home, the everlasting abode, where the faithful finally achieve their ultimate purpose and find everlasting solace in the presence of their Lord. The pinnacle of all blessings in paradise, surpassing even its rivers of milk and honey, its sprawling gardens, and its eternal youth, is the unparalleled vision of Allah Himself. This sublime experience is not merely a metaphor, but a direct, unmediated encounter with the divine, a promise repeatedly emphasized in Islamic texts as the ultimate reward for the righteous. Imagine standing in a state of perfect peace and purity, your heart overflowing with gratitude, and then being granted the most profound sight imaginable, the unblemished, glorious countenance of your Creator. It is an honor so immense, a joy so complete, that all other delights pale in comparison, a moment that transcends human comprehension and elevates the soul to its highest possible state. This vision is described as being beyond human capacity to fully grasp or articulate, a manifestation of divine beauty and majesty that fills the beholder with awe, love, and an indescribable sense of fulfillment. The Quran alludes to this ultimate reward, and numerous prophetic traditions elaborate on its significance, detailing how the faces of the people of paradise will be radiant with joy upon seeing their Lord. This direct communion is not a fleeting glimpse, but an ongoing, ever-renewing source of bliss, a testament to Allah's infinite generosity and love for His devoted servants. It signifies the complete removal of all veils and barriers that separated humanity from its Creator in the earthly life, allowing for a pure and intimate connection that is the true essence of eternal happiness. Beyond the immediate joys and rewards, paradise offers an enduring state of lasting peace and security, a complete absence of fear, sorrow, or any form of distress. The anxieties of the worldly life, the struggles, the losses, and the uncertainties all vanish into oblivion, replaced by an unbreakable sense of tranquility. There is no sickness, no aging, no death, and no fatigue. The inhabitants of Jannah exist in a perpetual state of vibrant health and boundless energy. This eternal well-being extends to their emotional and psychological states as well, where envy, hatred, and resentment are entirely absent, replaced by pure love, brotherhood, and mutual respect among all its dwellers. The relationships in paradise are characterized by harmony and affection, free from any discord or misunderstanding. Families are reunited, friends are reconnected, and new bonds are forged in an atmosphere of genuine care and joy. Imagine a community where every interaction is filled with warmth, where every conversation brings delight, and where every moment is shared in perfect concord. This profound sense of belonging and unity contributes significantly to the overall peace and contentment experienced by the inhabitants. It is a world where every desire is instantly fulfilled, not out of whim or caprice, but as a divine gift, ensuring that the heart remains perpetually satisfied and at ease, basking in the infinite grace of Allah. This absolute peace is not merely the absence of negativity, but the active presence of every conceivable good, making paradise the ultimate sanctuary for the soul. In stark contrast to the verdant beauty and boundless peace of paradise, there exists a final destination for those whose lives were marked by unrepented transgression and outright rejection of divine guidance: hellfire. This is not a metaphorical state of mind, but a terrifying reality, a place of profound regret and unimaginable torment, specifically prepared for the unrighteous. Its depths are described with chilling intensity, a chasm of suffering where every aspect of existence is designed to punish and purify. The very air is thick with despair, and the sounds are a cacophony of wailing, gnashing of teeth, and the crackling of an eternal blaze. The scorching heat of hellfire is unlike any earthly flame, possessing an intensity that disintegrates flesh and bone, yet paradoxically leaves the condemned intact to endure further suffering. Narratives speak of flames that are 70 times hotter than terrestrial fire, a heat so immense that it would instantly vaporize mountains. The inhabitants are clothed in garments of fire, their skin perpetually renewed so that they might taste the full extent of the torment without end. Boiling water, known as hamim, is poured over their heads, melting their internal organs and causing their skin to peel away, only to be regenerated for further anguish. This relentless cycle of destruction and renewal ensures that the punishment is continuous and inescapable. Beyond the physical agony, the various forms of torment in hellfire are designed to inflict profound psychological and spiritual suffering. The condemned are forced to consume zakum, a tree whose fruits are like devil's heads, bitter and thorny, tearing at their insides and offering no nourishment, only intensified hunger and thirst. They are given pus and blood to drink, substances so foul they would be rejected by any earthly creature, yet they are compelled to consume them to alleviate an unquenchable thirst. Their food offers no sustenance and their drink offers no relief, only exacerbating their misery. Moreover, they are bound in chains and dragged through the blazing inferno, their cries for mercy echoing unanswered in the vast, desolate expanse. The despair experienced by the inhabitants of hellfire is absolute. There is no hope of escape, no possibility of reprieve, and no end to the suffering. The realization of their eternal loss, the knowledge that they squandered their opportunities in the earthly life, weighs heavier than any physical pain. They will see the gates of paradise and hear the joys of its inhabitants, amplifying their own wretched state and the profound regret for their choices. This psychological torment, the gnawing realization of what they have forfeited, creates an internal hell that rivals the external one. They will plead for their own annihilation, for an end to their existence, but even death will be denied to them in this realm of eternal punishment. The suffering in hellfire is not arbitrary. It is a direct consequence of unrepented sins and a manifestation of divine justice. Every act of injustice, every rejection of truth, every transgression against God and humanity finds its recompense here. The punishment is meticulously calibrated to the severity of the offense, ensuring that justice is served with absolute precision. This accountability underscores the immense responsibility placed upon each individual during their earthly life to choose righteousness and to seek forgiveness for their misdeeds. The eternal nature of this punishment serves as a stark reminder of the gravity of one's actions and the ultimate consequences of straying from the path of divine guidance. Thus, hellfire stands as a powerful motivator for reflection and righteous living. It is a constant warning against heedlessness, arrogance, and the pursuit of worldly desires at the expense of eternal salvation. The descriptions of its horrors are not meant to instill despair, but to awaken consciousness, to stir the conscience, and to encourage a life lived in piety and submission to the Creator. It emphasizes the importance of repentance, the pursuit of good deeds, and the cultivation of a sincere faith, reminding humanity that every choice made in this transient life has eternal ramifications. The existence of hellfire serves as a profound testament to the justice of God, ensuring that no wrong goes unpunished, and no act of tyranny or oppression is ultimately overlooked. It reinforces the critical need for individuals to take their spiritual journey seriously, to prioritize their relationship with their Creator, and to strive for a life that earns them entry into the eternal gardens of bliss, rather than the horrifying depths of eternal damnation. The precise balancing of good and evil deeds on the Day of Judgment is a concept central to Islamic eschatology, often depicted through the imagery of the mizan, or the scales of justice. These scales are not metaphorical in the sense of abstract ethical evaluations, but are understood to be actual, tangible instruments that will weigh every single action, intention, and word uttered by an individual during their earthly life. Imagine, if you will, the sheer magnitude of such an accounting, where even the smallest kindness, a whispered prayer, or a fleeting thought of gratitude will find its place on one side, juxtaposed against moments of anger, deceit, or neglect on the other. This meticulous weighing underscores the idea that nothing escapes divine notice, emphasizing the profound responsibility each person carries for their own moral conduct. The Quranic verses repeatedly allude to this moment of ultimate reckoning, describing how on that day no soul will be wronged, and every deed, no matter how insignificant, will be brought forth. It is a moment of absolute transparency, where all hidden motives and secret transgressions will be laid bare for all to see. The weight of these deeds is not merely a quantitative measure, it is also qualitative. A sincere act done purely for the sake of God, even if small in its outward appearance, can outweigh a multitude of outwardly grand but inwardly insincere actions. Conversely, a seemingly minor transgression committed with arrogance or malicious intent can carry a heavier burden than a larger sin committed out of ignorance or weakness. This nuance in weighing highlights the importance of intention, a cornerstone of Islamic ethics, where the heart's disposition often determines the true value of an action. Consider the Hadith, the sayings and traditions of the Prophet Muhammad, which further elaborate on the nature of these scales. One famous narration speaks of the heavy words, phrases like Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallahil azim, glory be to Allah and praise be to Him, glory be to Allah the Almighty, being incredibly weighty on the scales. This illustrates how acts of remembrance and glorification of God, simple yet profound, can significantly tilt the balance in one's favour. Conversely, acts of oppression, backbiting, or spreading discord are described as burdens that can drag a soul down. The implications are clear. The spiritual currency of this life is not wealth or power, but righteousness, sincerity, and good character. The belief in the mizan serves as a powerful deterrent against wrongdoing and a profound motivator for good. It reminds believers that every choice, every interaction, every thought contributes to an eternal ledger that will ultimately determine their fate. This understanding fosters a deep sense of accountability and encourages a life lived with mindfulness and purpose. It is a constant call to self-reflection, urging individuals to continuously assess their actions and intentions, striving to tip the scales towards the abundant mercy and forgiveness of God. The hope, therefore, is not just to avoid the terrors of hell, but to actively earn the boundless rewards of paradise through a life dedicated to goodness and truth, knowing that even the lightest good deed performed with sincere faith will be celebrated and rewarded on that momentous day. Following the weighing of deeds on the scales of justice, humanity will confront another pivotal stage of their journey to the afterlife, the crossing of the Sirat Bridge. This bridge is not an ordinary structure, but a path described in Islamic tradition with vivid and awe-inspiring detail. Stretching over the chasm of hellfire, imagine a bridge said to be sharper than a sword's edge and thinner than a strand of hair, a perilous passage that every soul, righteous or sinful, must attempt to traverse. After the harrowing passage across the Sirat and the ultimate reckoning of every deed, humanity finally reaches its two eternal destinations, paradise and hellfire. This is the moment of absolute finality, the culmination of all existence, where the temporary journey of life concludes in an everlasting abode. The Day of Judgment, with its trials and tribulations, scales and bridges, ultimately serves to separate humanity into these two distinct groups, each destined for an existence that perfectly reflects the consequences of their earthly choices. There is no turning back, no second chances, and no further judgment. These destinations are permanent, their nature defined by the divine justice and boundless mercy of the Creator. For those who have earned it through faith and righteous deeds, paradise or Jannah awaits. It is a realm of unimaginable beauty and bliss, a garden of eternal delights where every desire is fulfilled before it is even conceived. Imagine rivers flowing with milk, honey, and wine, not the intoxicating kind, but one that brings pure pleasure. Picture lush green landscapes, fragrant breezes, and fruits of every kind, always in season and easily accessible. The inhabitants of paradise will experience perfect peace, devoid of any fear, sorrow, or pain. They will be forever young, their bodies perfected, their senses heightened to appreciate the exquisite beauty around them. Family and loved ones will be reunited, living in harmony and joy, their companionship a source of constant happiness. The dwellings are magnificent, built from precious gems and metals, and the garments are of silk and brocade. But beyond all these physical pleasures, the greatest reward in paradise is the vision of Allah Himself, a sublime encounter that surpasses all other joys, offering a direct and intimate connection with the divine. This is light, peace, and boundless joy, a reward for a life lived in submission and devotion. In stark contrast, for those who rejected faith, committed grave injustices, and lived lives of rebellion against divine commands, hellfire, or Jahannam, is the eternal consequence. It is a place of unfathomable torment, where regret is the dominant emotion and suffering is continuous and intense. Imagine scorching flames that burn to the bone yet never consume, because the bodies of its inhabitants are constantly regenerated to endure perpetual pain. Picture boiling water and pus to drink, and the thorny bitter fruit of Zakum to eat, offering no sustenance but only increasing agony. The air is filled with screams and lamentations, and the atmosphere is one of despair and utter hopelessness. Chains and shackles bind the condemned, and their skins are replaced with new ones as they are burned through, ensuring an unending experience of pain. This is darkness, torment, and profound regret, a consequence of choices made in arrogance, heedlessness, or rebellion. A place where the weight of one's sins manifests as an unbearable, eternal reality. The profound weight of the choices made in life finds its ultimate expression in these two abodes. Every intention, every word, every action, meticulously recorded and weighed, contributes to the path one ultimately takes. The light of paradise is a reflection of the light of faith and good deeds cultivated in this world, while the darkness of hellfire is the manifestation of the spiritual darkness and corruption that consumed a soul. This final separation of humanity is not arbitrary. It is the epitome of divine justice, where each individual receives precisely what they earned through their own free will and accountability. Yet, it is also infused with divine mercy, as even the slightest good deed can tip the scales towards salvation, and the doors of repentance remain open until the final moments of life. Thus, the Day of Judgment culminates in this ultimate division, humanity separated into two distinct groups, one basking in eternal felicity, the other enduring unending torment. It is a powerful reminder that this earthly life, with all its fleeting pleasures and trials, is but a passage to an eternal reality. The choices made now echo infinitely, determining one's ultimate dwelling. The contrast between the serenity of paradise and the terror of hellfire serves as a profound motivator for believers to strive for righteousness, to seek Allah's pleasure, and to live a life that will ultimately lead them to the boundless light and peace of Jannah. Far away from the darkness and despair of Jahannam, the final destinations underscore the immense significance of human existence and the profound responsibility that comes with the gift of life and free will. Before humanity reaches these final destinations, another formidable trial awaits, a terrifying passage known as the Sirat, a bridge said to be finer than a hair and sharper than a sword, spanning the chasm of hellfire. Every soul, righteous or wicked, must attempt to cross this perilous path. The Quran does not explicitly detail the Sirat, but numerous prophetic traditions vividly describe its nature and the varying experiences of those who traverse it. It is a moment of ultimate reckoning, where the light of one's deeds illuminates their path, or the darkness of their transgressions plunges them into the abyss below. The crossing of the Sirat is not uniform. Its difficulty is directly proportional to a person's faith and actions in their earthly life. Some will cross it with the speed of lightning, barely touching its surface, propelled by their unwavering devotion and abundant good deeds. Others will pass like a swift wind or a galloping horse, their journey still remarkably quick. For those whose good deeds are fewer, or whose sins weigh them down, the passage will be slower, perhaps like a brisk walk or a crawl, their bodies bruised and scarred by the hooks and thorns that protrude from the bridge's edges. designed to snatch the sinful and drag them into the inferno. The most unfortunate, burdened by a lifetime of disbelief and depravity, will find no grip, no illumination, their feet faltering, and they will plummet into the depths of Jahannam, a terrifying descent that marks their final eternal doom. This dramatic imagery of the Sirat serves not merely as a test, but as a final tangible manifestation of divine justice and mercy. It is a spectacle where the true spiritual state of each individual is laid bare, where the inner light of faith becomes a literal guide, and the weight of sin becomes a literal impediment. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is described as standing at one end of the bridge, interceding for his community, supplicating to Allah, saying, "O Allah, save them," a poignant illustration of his boundless compassion even in that dire hour. The Sirat, therefore, is not just a physical bridge, but a spiritual crucible, a final purification for some, and a definitive condemnation for others, solidifying the separation between the inhabitants of paradise and the dwellers of hell. With the final judgments rendered, the scales balanced, and the Sirat crossed, the cosmic drama of accountability concludes, giving way to an existence without end. This marks the true commencement of eternity, a boundless expanse of time where the concepts of beginning and end, so fundamental to human understanding, cease to hold meaning. The human story, once a finite narrative unfolding through birth, life, and death, now transfigures into an unending epic, its chapters written in the indelible ink of divine decree. Every individual, having faced the ultimate tribunal, now enters their destined realm, forever bound by the consequences of their earthly sojourn. The profound impact of the Day of Judgment echoes through this new reality, defining every moment of their everlasting state. The very fabric of this eternal existence is woven from the threads of one's deeds and intentions. For the inhabitants of paradise, eternity unfolds as an unending tapestry of joy, peace, and ever-increasing blessings. They reside in lush gardens, beside flowing rivers, surrounded by companions whose hearts are free from envy and sorrow. Their every desire is fulfilled, their every longing appeased, and their senses are constantly delighted by sights, sounds, and fragrances beyond earthly comprehension. The greatest joy, however, remains the unmediated vision of their Creator, a privilege that transcends all other pleasures and imbues their eternity with a profound spiritual ecstasy. This is a state of perpetual contentment, where neither fear nor sadness can touch them, and the passage of endless time only deepens their appreciation for Allah's infinite mercy and boundless generosity. Conversely, for those condemned to hellfire, eternity is a relentless cycle of suffering, despair, and regret. The flames consume yet never annihilate, the pain is constant, and the sense of loss is overwhelming. Time stretches out infinitely, offering no respite, no hope of escape, only the continuous realization of what they have forfeited and the inescapable weight of their transgressions. The torment is not merely physical, it is a profound spiritual anguish, a perpetual reminder of their rebellion against divine guidance and their rejection of truth. Their cries echo through the vastness of Jahannam, a haunting testament to the ultimate consequence of disbelief and injustice. This stark contrast between the two eternal abodes underscores the gravity of earthly life and the choices made within it. The journey through the Day of Judgment, from the initial tremors of the universe's collapse to the final separation of souls, is ultimately a profound meditation on purpose and accountability. It compels contemplation on the transient nature of worldly existence and the enduring significance of every action, every thought, and every intention. The narratives of resurrection, judgment, and the ultimate destinations are not mere historical accounts but urgent calls to introspection, prompting humanity to reflect on its own mortality and the inevitable reckoning that awaits all. This grand narrative aims to inspire a sense of awe before the Creator's majesty, to cultivate humility in the face of divine justice, and to ignite a renewed awareness of life's ultimate purpose, to strive for righteousness, to seek Allah's pleasure, and to prepare diligently for an eternity that is both just and inescapable. The choices made in this fleeting life are the seeds of an everlasting harvest, determining whether one reaps boundless bliss or unending sorrow in the infinite expanse that lies beyond the threshold of death. The precise mechanisms by which these deeds are weighed are often described through the vivid imagery of a colossal balance, a mizan, whose scales are so vast they encompass the entirety of creation. This mizan is not a mere physical object, but a symbolic representation of divine justice, perfectly calibrated to discern the true weight and intention behind every act. On one side, good deeds, intentions, and acts of piety are placed, shining with a spiritual luminosity. On the other, sins, transgressions, and moments of heedlessness are laid, casting a heavy, often dark shadow. The smallest whisper of a good intention, even if not fully realized, can tip the balance, just as a seemingly minor transgression, if fueled by malice or arrogance, can weigh heavily. This meticulous accounting goes beyond outward appearances, delving into the very heart of human motivation. For instance, an act of charity performed for public praise rather than for the sake of Allah may appear virtuous on the surface but holds little weight on the mizan. Conversely, a private act of kindness, unknown to all but the Creator, might be immeasurably heavy. The Quran frequently emphasizes this internal dimension, reminding believers that Allah knows what is in the breasts, underscoring the profound importance of sincerity, or ikhlas. Every blessing bestowed upon an individual, every moment of health, wealth, or opportunity will also be accounted for, prompting the question of how these gifts were utilized. Were they used in gratitude and service, or squandered in heedlessness? Even the fleeting moments of a smile shared, a burden lifted, or a word of comfort offered are meticulously recorded and will present themselves on this momentous day. Accompanying the Mizan are the books of deeds, individual ledgers presented to each soul. These are not metaphorical records but actual scrolls or tablets, described as being so comprehensive that they omit nothing, whether great or small. The Quran speaks of a time when these books will be laid open, and individuals will be confronted with their entire life's narrative, meticulously documented by the recording angels, the Kiraman Katibin. The sheer detail of these records, encompassing every thought, word, and action, will leave no room for denial or dispute. It is a moment of stark self-recognition, where one's true self, stripped of all earthly guises and pretenses, stands exposed before the divine gaze. For the righteous, these books will be a source of immense joy and vindication, their good deeds glowing brightly from the pages. For the transgressors, they will be a source of profound regret and shame, their misdeeds staring back at them with chilling clarity.